Yeah.
Stocks trying to get back to the upside here this morning, shaking off some early uncertainty and early weakness that came actually when futures opened at later on yesterday evening. But if you've missed it, DOJ serving Federal Chair Powell with a subpoena on possible allegations of lying under oath when it comes to when he was talking about this renovation that happened to the Federal Reserve building. We'll get into all of that coming up, but this is how the market looks right now. A huge gap to the downside. As I said, we are trying to claw our way back to the upside right now on that, but a lot of questions ahead of more employment data coming up this week. We get inflation data coming up tomorrow morning, the latest reading on core inflation, CPI at 8:30 tomorrow. We'll bring that to you live. PPI then comes the day after, and then, as I said, more employment data to come this week. And oh yeah, earnings season kicking off tomorrow morning before the bell as well, with banks getting things going traditionally as we've had over the past couple of years. It should be very, very interesting. A lot of different narratives going on, a lot of different ways to look at the overall market move to start things off. Brand new week. Glad to have Sharif back in the desk behind, or with me at the desk here beside me. How was your trip, first of all?
Fantastic, Brendo. Too short, always.
You look a little bit sun-kissed.
I've changed my color a little bit.
It's that time of year around here where people are starting to look a little bit winterized, I think. So yeah,
exactly.
Good to have you back.
Figured I'd stick out like a sore thumb.
I mean, what a day to come back to with this market as well.
Trying to get prepared for last night. All of a sudden, Fed Chair Powell's under investigation. I'm like, here we go. Okay, well, starting off the week with a nice tune over here, especially if from the news section. Lots to talk about this morning, guys. Gold, silver, all back in focus, of course, as President Trump and Fed Chair, well, the Department of Justice, I should say, starts to look criminally at Fed Chair Powell. Walmart, Google also tying up the nod there. So there's going to be more Walmart selections within Gemini as that LLM starts to pick up. Apple as well with some good data. BABA and Affirm, Brendo, as President Trump floats the idea of capping credit card rates to 10%. That's not good for some banks.
Banks right across the board, downside here. Anything, as you said, interest rate adjacent really will be under a little bit of pressure on the borrowing side. Anyways, AFRM under pressure, as you said. Going into what is going to be a really interesting earnings week, we were talking a little bit last week about how, I mean, Apple, for example, has been relatively weak. You come in this morning, the market's down, tech for the most part downside. Yep. Here's Apple back higher on better than expected iPhone sales. So maybe we start to see a little bit of a shift once again. We've been talking about rotation over the past couple of weeks since the beginning of the new year, really.
Right.
So maybe we get a little bit of a rotation back towards some of the traditional names. But yeah, Alibaba with a headline this morning, the market still clawing its way back to the upside. And let's be honest, this whole Fed Chair Powell storyline has absolutely nothing to do with this renovation.
No.
It's the precedent here that I think a lot of people are saying, you know, there's been this conversation in the background about the independence of the Fed and its ability to operate away from the government. This just adding more questions to that.
Just speculating, but I figured if we gotten a couple of more cuts, we wouldn't have seen this investigation. But just you know, speculating. Also, a couple of strong,
which to be fair, he alluded to in that video that he put out last night, saying that this is just a pressuring tactic.
Oh, he came right out and said it. There was no bones about it. He didn't really try to mince words at all about that. But a couple of more names I just want to bring your attention to. Allegiant picking up, looking to tie up here with Sun Country Airline Holdings. So that's up 13%. And Tempest, Brendo, also up almost 14% here to start the morning. So a couple strong names to keep the eye on.
Just hearing banks downside a little bit as well again here. I mean, if you go through any of these, they're all going to look the same. I mean, JP Morgan sitting here at 320, could be worse overall. I saw it was BAC, that was the worst off. It looks like that one also trying to bounce a little bit. But again, if you missed it, President Trump coming out saying that he's looking to cap credit card interest rates at 10% for a year, which, let's be honest, these companies print money on the back of 28, 29, 30%
exactly
on credit cards.
And a lot of people are making, industry analysts are saying, look, yeah, maybe we can get that 10% cap, but it's going to affect you and I through our points because that's the way that they distribute this. The people who carry balances pay higher rates, and the people who pay them off and kind of take the spending on there for the points may not see as many points because they're not going to have as much margin to spare. So we'll have to see how that all works out. But some discontent within the industry.
Is this just another traditional Trump bargaining tactic, or is it actually something that will gain some steam here? We'll see. Brand new week, lots to look forward to. Sean back with us this morning. Good to have him. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, everybody.
We're back, Jack. So what a busy Monday it's been here already.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff happening. Like a busy weekend, obviously.
Earnings starts.
Well, it's like earnings start for the banks, and then you have the president taking shots at the banks. Well, I mean, it's part of their business. Shouldn't just say it's like a shot at the bank. So you're going to have some movement in the space, and got to look at the other end of this too, like this threat at capping costs or capping interest rates on those credit cards. Well, that's going to be good for the Affirms and the Klarnas, right? Like if and when something like this were to happen, you've got Klarna up 6.5%. What is Affirm right now? Affirm's up as well, 4%. And certainly, thankfully, they're not capping our supply of bananas as Randy has come through this morning. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot to watch. I'm in a good mood because somehow we managed to let it. Always got to be drama. It was a lot of drama this weekend, man.
That's what NFL's about. I mean, there's no drama in the Packers game, of course. Like, we were 98% chance of winning with 4 minutes left. 98% chance.
I don't understand how that happened.
I don't know. It looks like our coach is going to keep his job and everything, so I don't even know. When you lose by 4 and your kicker misses 7.
He's a good coach. You can't.
Well, I mean, historically, he's one of the best.
That's not on the coach. What do you think?
I don't know, man. He gave up. They lost a lot of games that they were winning this year. Anyways, your kicker missed.
What can you do with a kicker?
He missed like a 40, a 50, and an extra point. Anyways, all right. I know it's just here. Good luck to the Bills in Denver, I was saying.
It's going to be a tough one.
We'll talk to Ryan Shannon's located in Denver as well. All right, Alibaba up 4%. That's nice. So we'll see if they can take out 160 here on news with them as well. Their Quen surpassing 700 million downloads. So that's a good little opportunity for Alibaba to get going there today. So we see that Chinese name. And then how about this again? Welcome everybody back here on a We're live at 8 a.m. now, as you must realize. We have Joe a couple more days, and then he's out of here. Goes for his surgery, so we'll have Obi back in very soon. I want to thank Obi for covering a little bit as well over the last couple weeks. He's been here a lot. There's silver breaking through $74. We do have today at 3 p.m. We'll be having our picks of the year. Thank you, Andre. That'll be happening today as well. So that should be joining us at 3 p.m. today, where all of us should be here to enjoy giving some picks. I left on Friday or on Thursday. It was 90,600, I think, for Bitcoin, and that's where we are here today. So silver and gold leads the way, and then as we had mentioned earlier, some of that stories with the banks and then the Fed, and I don't know. I think Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac might be in play a little bit here, as Bill Pulte's been talking on Bloomberg and making the rounds here. So we'll see if Fannie and Freddie, if the president has anything to say. Apparently at Davos, he's going to talk more about the housing market. So we'll have to wait to see if that. And last week, of course, we were all here last week. He mentioned no more buying corporate houses. He was upset that some of the corporations were what was dominating the home ownership. So get that back into the hands of the people. So we'll see what that means for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They're near this 1150 mark, which could be a breakout. We'll probably have Jeff Mendel on later on in the week to talk a little bit about some OTC markets. But so that's what I'm looking at today, a little bit of everything, I guess. And we didn't even really cover. I know they covered the bank stocks behind us a little bit. There's a lot, and there was stuff from last week, too, that we're going to probably have to take a quick look at, because there were some big-time reversals. Like on Friday morning, the story of Friday morning, one of the biggest stories Friday morning was Meta and OKLO and Meta and Vistra, and it was all about the nuclear names. And then that ended up, SMR, outside of like one bounce early, which if you got that one, fantastic. There was like one chance at a bounce on SMR. It was a great one, but everything else just trended down in that nuclear space after gapping up. I think these might still be in a little bit of play today, especially given
all the eyes might be looking elsewhere a little bit. And then to your point on the housing names, Open Door did something very similar to the nuclear names. Just like the difference here is instead of gapping up, this was running all morning long and then did that whole complete reversal thing. It's still over $7 though. And that was sort of that big thing, like could it get over $7? Which it did, and it closed over the 50. So again, things from last week that were movers are also going to be in play. Tesla had an unbelievable run on Friday. Can it hold on as well? It doesn't look like much on the daily chart, but it wasn't just that it broke out. It was the fact that it almost dipped $10 off, like literally at the open. Yeah. It just was flushing and looked like it was going to be another disaster day for Tesla. And then it put back-to-back days positive for Tesla. It's like 3 out of 11 days it's been green, and it just put in back-to-back. So we'll see if Tesla can keep the streak alive, maybe take out that 450 level. Going to be a lot to watch. Oh, and the other crazy mover, can't believe I forgot the one that moved the most. Intel went ham on Friday, essentially going like $3 clean, pretty much off the open. It's gapping down 3%, but some of that's probably due to how far it went. Yep, lot to watch. We get earnings with the bank starting this week. We got the Fed back in tow, which we have to watch out for a little bit here. We'll have Michael Noss coming through. We got Sharif back. We're making our picks. We got some surprises for you with. Well, you'll see what's up when we go to our options today.
There's lots of
surprises.
There's so much to talk about. What about Micron and SanDisk? Still moving around as well. Hey, what's up, Satyajinder? We were just going to talk about some of these plays right there. Yeah, Micron. We were saying how the mighty must fall, but maybe not. I mean, Micron's still hanging out here as well as SNDK, another name here that a lot of people like to talk about. SanDisk. They had a move down, then a move right back up, and there was one day you're like, haha, you caught the bottom or you top, and you didn't. Back up to 392, and then the other one, of course, there, boys behind us, Western Digital. Another name to always look at these days. And yeah, I was just about to cover Intel, but you did. And then the other name that can't get out of its own way apparently is NVIDIA. The thing about this Apple versus NVIDIA versus all these names, I'm just thinking, well, first of all, how bad is the Nasdaq today? 0.7. Okay, so these have been such winners, and I think in order to buy some new names, you got to sell some old names. So right here, NVIDIA and Apple, part of the largest holdings in many people's portfolios, or at least maybe not the largest, but definitely part of their holdings, I would say, continues to get hit here until they don't. And that's when the tides are going to start to turn. So I'm thinking even today, maybe with the market down 0.8 and Apple only down 0.2, maybe you do get a little bit of a bump up in Apple today. So we'll see if that's at a key 260 area, and we'll see if that can hold this area. But yeah, you're going to have to find out what's up. Hyper stagflation. That's what we're doing, man. Here we go. Here, let's put this up right here so everyone can see. All right, what are your guys' picks? Well, hey, you do have the right day. You just have the wrong time. It's going to be at
6.5 hours.
3 p.m. We're going to base out, have a good time here in the afternoon, and talk about which picks we are going to be throwing down. I was thinking about it like. We were thinking between like 3, 5. Like we could do 4. We'll discuss the format. It'll be 4 picks, 3, 4, 5 picks.
Are any of them on the board behind us right now? Like who knows?
Yes, mine is CRML for sure. But I mean, someone might use NVIDIA. What's over there? SoFi, Pfizer. What's behind your head there? DXY and no, the other way.
Oh, this way.
Oh, ONDS.
Yes, okay. ANPA. Okay. See, that's funny. Like, there's only one stock up there. I have no. What is ANPA? Rich?
Or Czech Robotics?
Sparkle.
Oh, ANPA.
Holdings.
Oh.
It's actually called Rich Sparkle Holdings. Believe it or not.
Okay. Obi will be.
Obi is making his picks too.
Yes, don't worry about that.
Coming too.
Okay, excited to see what the boys behind us have got going there. Maybe Bitcoin will be on people's minds, but. 3 p.m., Brendo. You got your picks ready to go or what?
I think, I don't know about you, but mine at least have a bit of a theme. Theme behind them. A certain area of the market, if you will.
Yes.
I don't know. So we'll see what everyone has to say about that. Also, if anyone has not done so yet, we're under 500, I think, about 450. Subs away from 550,000. So anyone who is joining for the first time, make sure you take a sec, hit that subscribe button, guys. It really helps the channel more than you know. If you haven't done so, just double check. I know a lot of people tend to just do it in passing and forget about that. So under 500 to go to 550, which is great. Let's go to silver here for a second. You guys mentioned that briefly. That is a daily chart. We're up and away once again on silver, all-time highs, and then some. Gold following suit here. Silver has just been absolutely crazy. Continues here this morning. There was a brief pause, a little bit of a pullback, consolidation, if you will, and then here we are. Right back to highs on this these headlines again.
You felt like people were taking profits on that, Brendo, because that was an uninterrupted move up. I mean, the reason it's moving up is the same reason gold is moving up. It's uncertainty, right? Especially macro uncertainty. Last night, we have the Department of Justice investigation into the Fed chair, Venezuela. There was, overtures of possibly a second strike there, not to mention Iran, obviously. So a lot of central banks, they've been basically, they stopped buying the U.S. dollar. And they've really been net buyers of gold, net buyers of silver. And that was going to be one of my picks as well. Definitely going into this year, I think a lot of defense names are going to continue to do well, whether, they're the more traditional defense names or some of the newer ones that we've been talking about, the drone operators, the eVTOLs, et cetera. But that is definitely something in focus for me as a theme this year.
I mean, macro theme in general going to be talked about, looks like going forward. As you said, here is the DXY today on a daily chart. Huge, ugly red candle here, getting rid of 2 straight days, essentially, of upside movement. And again, this goes back to just the uncertainty aspect of if this administration is going directly after Fed Chair Powell, the precedent that sets on control over interest rates in the U.S., and I mean, we can get into the whole global currency conversation, but there's a lot of arguments against that.
You know what it does, Brando? I feel like we've all kind of known that the Fed is a political institution, but it was always soft power in the background, not overtly operating in this way.
Trump put Powell in that place.
Exactly. And now what we're seeing is just in the daylight, very, very clear sort of interference by the federal government into the Fed. Now, whether you agree that there may be some issues with the $2.5 billion spent, given that it was in Washington when we saw JP Morgan build that whole huge scraping tower for, I think, equal to or not less than that price. So there is an argument to be made there. But what I fear is the way that the market takes this. The market takes this as blatant interference, not the exercising of soft power behind the scenes that we've seen previous administrations do.
Yeah. So, I mean, his term's up in May. We already have a list of, potentials waiting in the wing to take over. How that's going to affect policy remains to be seen going forward. But dollars week, guys, yields downside this morning as well. I mean, they've been, I was reading an article on the weekend, actually, that it was all 4 quarters of last year. The 10-year specifically ended each quarter of 2025 within 0.1 of a basis point of the prior quarter.
Really?
And that was like the first time in a long, long time that had happened. So the stability of the 10-year specifically, really, really sticky above that 4% in 2025. And we touched on that a little.
Yeah, I want to add something to that. Bill Ackman took to X to kind of voice some concerns that he has about Trump basically trying to make home ownership a bit more affordable. Ackman's saying, look, Fannie and Freddie allow you to pay off your mortgage whenever. They're open-ended mortgage. You want to pay them, you maybe an inheritance, you can pay them off in 5 years, 10 years. Apparently, people who buy mortgage-backed securities have to factor in that risk, because the risk is you may pay it early and they don't see the full interest that they would have been entitled to under the loan. So what Ackman was trying to argue was, hey, offer 2 different products. Offer the open-ended loan, but the closed-ended one where you'd have to pay a fee if you were to pay it earlier. That way, it'll tighten the spreads on these mortgage-backed securities, and it'll make ownership a bit more affordable. Whether that operates in principle or in theory as well as it is in reality, well, we'll have to wait and see, but that's another thing that I just want to touch upon.
JP Morgan coming up tomorrow, going to kick things off for us as far as bank earnings, and then we'll get into the rest of them throughout the remainder of this week and into next week. But let's see, maybe we hear a little bit about that, a little bit about the mortgage side of things, the interest rate side of things, guys. But dollar downside, interest rates downside a little bit here this morning.
Yeah, and there's one big move that almost nobody, well, actually haven't heard anybody talk about it yet, but everyone knows Powell's term is up in May. it was almost a lock that he was also going to leave as a governor. Because remember, he's still a Fed governor if he's not the chair. It was sitting up at like 80, in the mid 80s, like 84% chance that he would just simply step down as governor and that would be it. That absolutely cratered. So now you're looking at a coin flip that he actually even stays on as a governor. And I mean, it's obvious the implication there is that he would be doing that because he feels that independence is threatened, and he's like sticking around to make sure that he has some influence on the ship staying right. And so, yeah, I think all of this, and we were just talking about this first in talking about metals and whatnot and gold and silver. I think that uncertainty makes silver 7% up and more all-time highs. It just makes it even stronger. A look at some of these critical metals. I think the flight to safety is still going to be there. This turmoil's not going anywhere whatsoever. But we're about to see where the turmoil might be in options land with our good friend Joe.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. A lot of activity in the options world on Friday, so let's get right into things. We're going to start things off with some SMR. Strike prices are slightly, they call me Dr. Evil, that's crazy. All right, SMR, guys, these strike prices are slightly mixed up, but that's okay, we'll figure it out. SMR, once again, new scale going to be at that $20 strike price, expiring this Friday, showing a lot of open interest in that zone with 11,100 and 1,700 contracts open and closed. Now, as for OKLO, signing some deals with META, so as well as VST. Now, that's going to be that $100 strike price. Open interest sitting around 8,680 with volume around 1,600. Now, as for CoreWeave, that's going to be at that $80 strike price, guys. Open interest sitting around 12,000 and volume 4,960. Once again, that is going to be expiring this Friday. Now, as for Amazon continuing its climb higher, guys, at that $250 level, throughout this expiration cycle, there's a lot of activity. So keep your eyes out on Amazon. I think there's still some room for this to grow and climb a little bit higher. We have at that zone, $250 to be exact, 64,000 contracts still currently open, that expire this Friday. Volume at 21,800. And you can see that the bid and ask is relatively wide, a $7 spread there. Considering it's an out-the-money contract, you're sitting at 3.393 for your delta, and then your gamma at 0.047. The at-the-money IV at 24.1%. And that's not too bad for a $250 name. We'll be back momentarily with some upgrades and downgrades.
Sure.
I mean, I think we've talked a little bit about Amazon did absolutely nothing in 2025. Like, I think it was either up 1 or 2%. So this is a name that I think, Joe, with those options there might be on to something. I mean, breaking out would be what everybody wants. So I think above that 255 right there for Amazon. I think it's a little overextended over the last to start the year. I mean, we were at 225 up to 246. I don't know if I would buy it up here right now, but if it's going to remain strong, which today, who knows about the Nasdaq, but I could see a little bit of a pullback, and I just think this is another one of those names where I don't know if you want to buy the rip right now, but I'm pretty sure you want to think about buying the dip. I know I had said that Amazon's not like something I'm super excited for 2026. I'm not that excited about it, but I still own it and still would like to buy some more of it. It's just, I don't know. I wait to see what AWS, I think their first quarter is going to be somewhat decisive. Can they continue to grow AWS and what that looks like and what some of their other segments look like this year as well? They're still involved with space and everything. So there's going to be some good thematic plays this year for Amazon, I believe, as well. So I actually think Amazon does have a good opportunity to get going this year. So we'll see if it dips down. It could be a good one to buy in any dips and weakness, if there is any anyways.
That's true, and you said space is going to be a theme this year for them, and one of the other themes this year has been, last year I should say, has been power, nuclear power specifically. I saw SMR and OKLO on that list. We showed how all that exuberance and the gap up on Friday because Meta was making big deals, spent most of the day falling down. Like the only the only one that actually made a move was like very early. There was this trend break just kind of randomly happened here in SMR, and it was able to kind of break and go $1 and then immediately gave back. But it's not all bad, because it did hold on to, or has held on to, that $20 level, which has been, it's kind of a big one. It did reject the 50-period moving average, but when we slide on over, this had consolidated, just chilling with resistance at 20. So for it to not break down yet, I think you kind of give it a couple more days to bounce off this 20 and maybe regain some of that. We see it a lot where there'll be like a big gap up, and then everyone's all exuberant about a stock. It fills in the gap, and then the day after, it's like, oh, but look at this. All they did is sell it off on the good news. And you come back a couple of days later, and it's stabilized, and then starts going again. So I think that could be the place that we're at with SMR. So I'm gonna be watching that 20 level for sure this week. If we bounce off it a couple times, I think you want to start going, trying that long again, just to fill in this gap. And we always say the same caveat with them or OKLO. It's not as if they're making money. That being said, you are starting to see some of the ramp up, and I guess it's really just about the momentum. The momentum come back into the name. So you got a nice move, a little bit of continuation. I think we're just on the precipice of having a shot to break out again here in SMR. So watch that 20 level closely this week. Yep, lot to watch for sure. And I see in the chat, Darius is asking when Palantir earnings are they the second? Because someone just asked me the second. This was another one. There's a
Feb second?
Feb second.
I'll check.
Oh, this was another one. If you look at, I was just talking about with SMR, where you have like a big, massive volatility day, and then you're just like, okay, well, what happens next? Does it consolidate off of that? Like you would have thought, and I certainly thought on Friday that you were going to get more action out of Palantir, and then Palantir ends up doing pretty much, just sat there inside of a relatively tight range compared to the prior 2 days. So sometimes that's what you're looking for. Like it calms down a little bit, and then you get that ramp job again. Consolidation can be a good thing. So this is another one to watch without a particular catalyst outside of the fact that defense names have been strong. But yeah, it was oddly quiet. Like when the stock went from dropping $12 to sitting inside in a 1.5% range, I'd like to think that it's not going to do this, like the quiet day most days. Usually on Palantir lately, you're getting the bigger move day. So don't sleep on some of the ones that might have lulled you into that false sense of complacency or whatever it might be. But yeah, a lot to cover. Let's get on back to the desk. I just noticed that we're all in like light colors today. Like nobody. I can't remember the last time nobody wore blue around here. Like I'm
still in green, trying to.
Weird.
Trying to live trying to live in the past.
There it is. Got to.
We'll be back at some point. Okay, youngest team in the NFL. So what is it? Okay, made the playoffs 9 straight years, but we still get eliminated all the time. Okay, Brendan, it's going to be an interesting day. I was thinking about like what I'm trying to work on this sticky note here. There's just so many opportunities, whether or not it's in the financials. You just talked about nuclear names. We haven't even talked about Capital One and like how that's going to affect credit cards. You brought up AFRM. We talked a little bit about Apple here today, and then we're into earnings season starting tomorrow again. With these banks, Intel moving around today as well. We haven't covered Google, we haven't mentioned many of these big names. You did mention Meta earlier about the power story from Friday there. And there should be ASTS. Like there's a lot of people excited about some of these thematic plays heading into the new year. So I think that's going to be something that we're going to talk about a lot at 3 p.m.
And defense too.
Yeah, AV is a good one. You mentioned Palantir. So there's just SoFi, so many names that continue to move around as I look. And then Tesla, you mentioned what a good run they had there. APLD is moving. Everything
I forgot them.
Yeah, everything is moving. Applied Digital. So it's going to be a very, very busy week, and we're excited for it. I'm excited for earnings season because right now you get Fed. Oh, I was looking at this. The Fed interest rate, 2.0, still the same, right? Despite everything that's been happening here for Fed Chair Powell, as you get closer and closer, he's a sitting president, sitting chair, Fed chair. So it just means that he's going to be a sitting duck. So it means lame duck. He's going to be out there come May. So that's not, anything sort of is not affecting this sort of an outcome right here. This has always been pretty aggressive, but it was 88%, I believe, last week. So now you bump up to 95% that we're not going to get a cut in January. So there was some talk about that. JP Morgan on Friday came out and said no rate cuts for the rest of the year. So that was a little aggressive of a target there. So we'll see how much that affects. We do have Michael coming through here this morning, so we'll hear what he has to say about any of this heading into earnings season. It should be an exciting one. I don't know, boys. I'm more excited for this earnings season just because of the backdrop that we have and the new year. Should be a good one starting this week. Make sure you guys do hit the like and the subscribe because we're going to be covering it all for you. And especially it's cool that we start early now because the banks are in the pre.
Exactly. So we have more time to go over some of the, especially the morning earnings when they're that critical. As
critical metals.
That's hilarious. That's so weird. You guys wouldn't know this, but like I said so critical just as a dude in our area was talking about critical metals.
Oh, really?
Which is
I muted all that stuff
Oh,
myself.
straight up, that's another name that we have to talk about today. That's gapped up again as well with the more Greenland talk. There's so much to cover. I know Michael Noss is waiting. We're going to get to him right now. See what's on his mind on a busy Monday morning.
I want to mention this real quick. VIX has been absolutely sleeping since the beginning of the year. Never got the memo that the holidays were over, but we did get a little bit of a gap up this morning, quickly starting to fade off, sadly. So if you're looking for a little bit more volatility this morning on the back of some of these macro headlines, I mean, the VIX already going back to sleep as it was. But yeah, let's bring in Michael Noss here and talk about an area of the market that has had a lot of discussion over the past couple of weeks here with what has happened in Venezuela and what has happened with the energy market in general on the back of that, and how things have actually fundamentally shifted and changed, I think anyways, because of what has happened specifically. And we talked with Rahim Alani last week a little bit about the Canadian side of this story and how it's really not good for our energy sector, Michael Noss. But from a technical standpoint, let's jump into what we need to know here as far as oil and energy is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has probably been the most frustrating trade, I think, in the market in 5-10 years now, where oil and energy hasn't really gone anywhere. If we can actually go one chart up there, up to the top, and perfect. And this is kind of what got me started on this, is that oil's been very frustrating, right? It hasn't moved in many, many years. There's been little dips, and now that we're getting it in the news a little bit more, it might be time to start looking a little bit harder at the sector and stocks in play. And I came across this chart on the weekend from my buddy Jason Pers, who's a fund manager who trades commodities exclusively. So this is a real good guy to follow for these type of things. And he published this chart right here, and it takes a little bit to go through. So I'll try to explain it quickly. So the top chart is gold, and we all know what's been happening with gold. And then below that is copper. And generally, if you're looking through time, this chart goes back, many years. I think it's like 30 years or something. Crazy time frame. And you notice quite often gold starts to get people interested in the commodity sector and starts to get maybe more fund managers putting heavier weights in the commodity sector in general, because generally speaking, commodities don't move. And that's a good thing, right? We don't want wild moves in, copper and oil and all these things all the time, because that's hard for economies and for individuals to deal with if the price of energy is moving that much. But historically, you get this move in gold that starts an interest in commodities. Then you get the middle area, which is generally followed by a move in copper, right? These things aren't one-to-one, but sometime later, if you have a big move in gold, you generally get a move in copper. And then you get a move in oil. And you can see with the green lines on the bottom, that's the oil chart. For most of the time, when you have these big push-ups in gold and these big push-ups in copper, you get good moves following in oil. But not this time, at least not yet, right? So that's kind of got me to kind of dive in under the hood and take a look at if I think we could potentially look for a breakout and what could potentially get played on. So this next chart came from Bar Chart, and this is the commitment of trader data. You guys have not heard me talk about the commitment of trader data for a very long time, and it's because when the government shut down, you think that when it reopened, they would just give you all the old data and go from there, but it took until about now for us to get caught up. So quick summary of the commitment of trader data, as you have to report if you are a futures trader, even if you guys are as retail traders, your broker reports your positioning, and that gets reported every week. And then they sum up all the positioning, and we have this chart here. So we're really focused on this green line. And this green line is how long speculators are. In some markets, you see this kind of oscillate between long and short, and the speculators we want to look at because they're normally wrong. Just on average, they're normally wrong. The red line is the opposite of that. That's the commercial hedgers. Those are the guys who kind of know a little bit more. And you'll notice they never get short, and that's because they never get short oil because the commercial hedgers are always short oil, and that's just the base of a commodity. Think if you're an airline, you're always kind of short oil because what you're doing is you're locking in future prices so that your airline company can budget what they need for fuel. But they're almost short, and they're as less long as they've ever been in like the last 5 years. And these are the guys that are normally wrong. So think about this as the potential of kind of a short squeeze in oil that could be happening. And then you combine that with last week's candle, which was pretty bullish in nature. So we have this kind of, I guess, seasonality aspect in which copper generally leads oil. And now we have nobody really positioned long oil, not from small speculators, not from the short speculators or the long speculators or the big guys or the small guys. Nobody is really long oil. That makes it interesting to me. They're as, off to the other side as they've been in a long time. And then we just take a look here at XLE. So the next chart here is just a weekly chart of XLE. Now, XLE is not just oil. This is energy. So it's going to include all the different energy factors. And this is why the trade has been so frustrating. This small base that we have at the top of the range, this goes all the way back to 2021. So, when I say this has been a very frustrating trade, it has been. But not always. You can see kind of pretty wild gyrations that happen in XLE. We just haven't gotten those recently. So as we're kind of butting up against this high, there's some signs that I want to look at for a breakout. And the first one I always like is a compression in volatility. So this next chart is a monthly chart of the XLE. So we're zooming out a little bit longer. But this bottom indicator is essentially the width of your Bollinger Bands. And, I know a lot of people in this audience probably know what Bollinger Bands are, but they're a volatility metric. And if you're looking at, if their Bollinger Bands are very wide, that means the volatility is very high. And volatility is normally mean reverting, which means that if we get squeezed enough like a spring, then eventually there's a move one way or another that expands that volatility outwards. So you can kind of see that in that chart. 2018, 2019, very low volatility. Then we had 2021 to 2022, very high volatility. And now we're back to that low volatility. So if we're betting that that volatility is going to expand in the XLE and in oil, and that all of these people who are not positioned in oil are going to have to catch up at some point, there's a potential here for a breakout that becomes very, very compelling. And you could take the oil side, you could take XLE, there's some leveraged ETFs. But one place that I noticed a lot of relative strength that I think it's kind of worthwhile to look into is if we go down to the last chart. This is another ETF, just OIH. And this is oil. This is the VanEck Oil Services ETF. So you're not even talking about the commodity anymore. You're talking about the people who service the commodity. So think refiners and think, shippers and all the way down. So they're not the guys who pull it out of the ground and do all that. They're the guys to refine it. And without getting, really into the whole Venezuela thing, from everything that I've heard talking to friends of mine who are energy traders, is this is a type of oil that needs a lot of refinement. It doesn't come out of the ground as good as in the Middle East or anything like that. And, Brendan talked about that. It's kind of like the oil up here in Canada. It's not a really easy oil to just take and put to use. So these refiners that have had an amazing uptrend when nothing else is moving, well, if we start to get that breakout in XLE and we start to get that breakout in oil, this could be a trend that could continue. And under the hood here, you have your CVXs and your Exxons and all of these different companies. And I think you can just kind of pick and choose whichever one you like the best for whatever reason. Or again, if you want to stick to the ETF, you look at that. So that's my kind of case for oil. What I need to see happen is just that breakout. I think that's the easiest way to play that. If we start to get the breakout in the XLE and, we start to get this push up in oil, that I think kind of confirms, right there. So we start to get a break over like 50, 52 there, then that's interesting. And until then, I think you just ride out because I'm not worried about XLE falling apart, but I am worried about just more of a chop up. So for me, if I'm going to take this, I think it's got to be a long-term trade. I'm not looking to come in and buy this and hold it for a couple days and take it out. I want to get a fairly large position if we get a little bit of a breakout here. It's why I'm kind of floating towards the ETFs and that type of thing, and just make it like a part of my net worth for a period of time. If you want to get more, into it and go from there, there might be some more opportunity, but hey, maybe finally time for some energy moving.
A lot of the narrative, a lot of the talk, and I know you're looking specifically at the technical side of things, a lot of the narrative, though, going into this year was lowering the costs and lowering, the prices that people are paying at the pumps. If there's a concerted effort towards the economic side of things and the consumer side of things in that way, does this even happen?
I could see, and again, it's like the whole world wants to keep the price of oil stable. And again, that's good for us, right? You've got OPEC and all these guys on one side, and you've got everyone on the other side. And everyone wants just the price of energy to be stable, because then they know how much it costs to fly their planes and, do their shipping and build stuff and all of that. So everyone wants it to be stable, which is kind of one big knock against, what I'm looking to do. That's why I think the actual producers could actually be a place, or the refiners and things like that, where they might just be able to get more and refine it out, and then the end product price might be lower, but they get a little bit of a cut from the refiner. So think of them as kind of like the middleman. They're buying at X price and then they're just selling at Y price. They don't really care if those two prices are really high or really low, as long as their spread is okay. And then the more they produce, the more money they'll end up making. So that's why I'm kind of gravitating towards that. But yeah, I think you're right. It's like everyone in the world wants these prices to be fairly low and stable. And that might be why it's been such a frustrating trade for so long.
Exactly. And the interesting part of this is that continues to be the narrative and will be for the foreseeable future. But as you said, from a technical standpoint, you look at some of these charts, it's kind of saying something different. It's not necessarily saying, okay, prices are coming in, demand might be declining, but overall, a lot of these charts still look really strong.
Yeah, and this is my bias as a technician, but I always think price drives narrative. We have just a funny saying in technical analysis that there's no better way to change sentiment than price. If price is tanking, then sentiment's going to be awful. If price is ripping, then sentiment's going to be awesome. So I'm kind of one of those where I think the narrative can catch up at some point. And it might just be that there are pockets inside the energy sector that end up doing very well. And so we're not looking at oil as a whole moving higher. We're not really looking at natural gas as a whole moving higher, but it might just be these companies that just get to produce more over time. And then their margins don't really increase, but just the top line increases because they're able to refine more oil because they're getting it from Venezuela and they're getting it from other places that they weren't before. So that's, kind of beyond me. That's a little more high level thinking. That's more CFA stuff, but just, pulling back the narrative the best I can and looking at the charts, it seems like nobody is positioned for this breakout higher. So if we get this breakout higher, then at some point they got to catch up.
2.5-year consolidation, possibly coming to an end here. So great stuff. Worth keeping an eye on. Michael Noss, good to see you.
Good to see you. Have a good week.
All right, fantastic stuff as always by Mr. Michael Noss. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst activity here this morning. We're going to start things off with the downgrades. At the top of the list, we have CrowdStrike going from an overweight to a sector weight here by KeyCorp. You're down 2% in the pre-market sessions. Now, as for CoreWeave, going from a neutral to a sell by Goldman Sachs, you're down 1.4% here in the pre-market. Now, GitLab also getting the downgrade as well, too, guys. Equal weight to overweight with a price target aimed of around $34 by Barclays. And then we have Rivian by Wolfe Research getting the downgrade down 2.7% here this morning, going from a peer perform to an underperform. That is going to be your downgrade side of things. Now, as for some of the analyst actions on the upgrade side, you can see that Applied Materials continuing its climb higher, guys. Take a look at that daily. It's some nice price action. We're going from a neutral weight to positive, and you're down here in the pre-market, only 0.4% roughly, and then Datadog as well too, guys, equal weight to overweight, you're down 0.39% with a price target of around $180 by Morgan Stanley. Now, Palantir, curious to find out if Sean is going to be rolling over this pick this year, but Citigroup giving it the nod. You're up 0.6%, closer to 7, and you're going from a neutral to a buy with a price target of around $235. The trade desk also getting the nod, guys, by MoffettNathanson. Price target of around $39. You're up 0.7%. And you are also going from a sell to a neutral weight, and that is going to be your analyst actions this morning, guys.
Yeah, Joe just gave a bit of a notion. Is Palantir on that list? One thing we can also do when you talk about our picks this afternoon for 2026 is maybe go over 2025 picks, and what would you do with it? Would you hold it? Would you trim it? Would you sell it all? Would you add to it? I think that would be pretty interesting. I can end up looking at, hey, a downgrade today on Rivian, actually moving it, and we're down 3% on Rivian. The other thing to consider is, well, guess where we're back to? We're pretty much back to that breakout on the daily and almost the 50 period moving average. I don't know why I say 15. The 50 period moving average, which is the teal line in here. So I think Rivian's like a day or two away from the bounce spot. At least technically speaking, it's going to be that prior high, I think somewhere before we get to $17.50. That's a 50 period. And you're only $1 away from that. I don't necessarily know that there's any particular reason it would be weak enough to make that move there today, but it is certainly within shot. So I'm going to throw that somewhere on the old iPad to look for the dip buy this week on Rivian off that 50 period moving average. So we're at 18.5-ish now. 17.5 is that mark. So we'll look for some kind of a pullback. And if I zoom in further, that 17.5, that's also that mid-December when we had those two big rally days, which really did the entire move. We've slid back in and we've almost given up that entire move. So I think that's the spot to look for the next bounce here in Rivian, and the downgrade could give us a chance to see that this week.
Yeah, so you mentioned Palantir there. I mean, I like it to be just because today, obviously, you catch the upgrade from Citigroup there. Defense spending, they're talking about it being a super cycle. So this will be on the note for myself today, looking for dip buys into 177 or something on PLTR. I'm not sure if it's going to be a play this year. You're going to have to wait till 3 o'clock to find out all about that. But yeah, breaking through this 190, I think, is a nice area to think about a breakout now for PLTR. So it's looking juicy in that respect. And then even on the daily here, 180 to take out sort of where we battled with last midweek and then pop through it. And then so we've spent a day or two above 180. We'll see if we can do that today on an upgrade, but would much rather prefer something in this little area here, 177 or change. So yeah, thanks, Joe. Do like the Palantir call. We'll wait to see if we have to make a play on this later on or not, but Palantir right here today is going to make the list, which I'm going to publish in just a matter of seconds. So I do like Palantir there today on an upgrade, and you know, it's up 0.64% here in what's been a pretty flat-ish morning to choppy, just back and forth, back and forth. We'll have to wait to the bell to see what exactly happens with some of these financials. And then a name like a Palantir, does it continue to hold up, or do we swing a little lower there as well? And then people mentioning Tesla a little bit here today as well. Do we get back up to that 450 level from Friday? That could be an interesting spot to look short if that does get going back there for TSLA after 3 or 4, actually I guess just 2 up days. Count today. We'll see where that winds up there as well. But yeah, so for me, Palantir on my mind with all of those upgrades and downgrades. But
before we go back,
yeah, go.
I don't hear anything, but AMD spiking a little bit here. Just went up like a couple of bucks, almost green. AMD was gapped down and red this morning. Looking over to see if, like, this is NVIDIA. NVIDIA's not moving. So there might be something specific to AMD happening right now. Maybe let's see if Intel's going to be moving. Again, nothing in my ear. Now Intel's literally barcoding as well. So this could be a little something. If you had AMD on your list today, certainly a little bit of a spike. Maybe someone just fat-fingered a little bit early. No idea, but we haven't heard any news. Like, nothing's come in the ear, but that was a pretty decent volume spike. It's a 1% move to the upside, but if there isn't any continuation, I wouldn't read too much into it, but it just tried to fill in the gap. Like this stock was threatening to break 200 even until a couple of moments ago when we just caught that little bit of a bid. We closed at 03, which is a double bottom. So that'll be a very critical level here at 203. Yep, so a bit of a volume spike on AMD. Still haven't heard anything with regards to news. Maybe somebody's just getting in a little bit early. There's a lot to watch. Like we don't even have a specific catalyst for the semis, and yet here we are with them moving around a little bit here, boys.
I was just, just reading through some comments here. Not much on the news side of things yet. We'll keep an eye out for AMD. Somebody just posted, silver's up 20% in 2026.
Oh my goodness.
Just this year, 20% for silver. It's absolutely ripping here this morning as well. And not everything's good. Here's American Eagle, AEO downside. They cut their holiday guidance. Holiday season that just passed, obviously. Not a lot of volume either behind this morning, but downside in a pretty big way here for AEO. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we'll call it, until we get into some of the retailers on the earnings side of things. So we'll have to wait and see how that actually comes through. But typically when they straight up come out and say things weren't good before they actually report, tends to follow through in that direction. So down to $24 here for American Eagle. Yeah,
dropping here aggressively 10%, Brendo, to start the trading day. So here's what is going on. They raised their fourth quarter operating income. However, they now expect operating income to be within the range of about 167 to 170 million from a prior range of 155 to 160. It also does assume about $50 million of tariff headwinds. The CEO said, momentum continued in the fourth quarter with a record December sales fueled by the power of our brands, especially with strong growth at area and offline. But as we've talked about before, a lot of the gains, so to speak, on the top line number for AEO were actually driven by the American Eagle brand. It was some of their auxiliary brands like Aerie. So we'll have to see how this works out here, Brendo, but a big drop to start the morning.
Just seeing Goldman Sachs popping up here. Not really moving around here this morning. Wow, this thing's up to 950. Goldman Sachs saying they now expect the Fed to cut rates just 1/4 of percentage point in June and September, back from its previous forecast of 3 for the entire year. So people reining in their forecast this morning. That's probably the second or third one I've seen as far as 2026 goes. I mean, who knows now with what's going to happen with Fed Chair Powell, and if there is actually an indictment. This is now the third attempt, I want to say, from the Trump administration to actually go after individuals on the Fed. Now they're just going right to the top. Yeah, it's interesting to watch. I mean, we want to see, he's claiming he doesn't have anything to do with it, but obviously, you know, my spidey sense says there's something other going on. The Department of Justice obviously leading the investigation. We'll have to wait and see. But it's basically testimony that he gave back in June to the Senate. That's what's being called into question. He's alleged to have perjured himself during that testimony because it was given under oath. So all that will come to light. But you feel that this is just more tactical pressure by the administration to get rates lower, as this is, let's call a spade, an election year. And for these rates to have an effect, there is obviously a lag time, 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is, Brendo, which may not allow him as president, or as Fed Chair Powell is expected to leave in May and be replaced. That may not be enough time from May into the November elections for any rate cuts to have a meaningful effect. And what's the play here? You know, get him out of the way before May, or just maybe tie him up, you know, so he can't do anything until there's a switch in May. You know, it's a little confusing from that side. And Fed Chair Powell said he's not going to give in to the pressure if this is what it's being done for the pressure. So if, you know, it was like the other option that you were saying, hey, put a little bit of a pressure on him so that he could get the rate cuts, or instead of replacing him, he says he's not going to do it. It almost seems confusing, but let's see what happens. Goldman trying to get back above 932. Goldman Thursday this week. JP Morgan tomorrow morning, guys. As you said, I mean, typically the banks come out super early, like 7:30 in the morning, but we'll definitely be able to cover them for you. Again, start time 8 o'clock if you're just joining. We've bumped it back 30 minutes. So again, banks Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're coming in hot, and they're all doing so on strength. And obviously, there's a little bit. I mean, this morning, of course, with the credit card interest rate cap headline from Friday, because actually the news was on Friday, just the market gets to react to it this morning, you're going to see a little bit of weakness. But you look at the trend on Goldman Sachs, you look at the trend on JPM, Monday charts, there we go, we'll get there. You look at the trend on JPM, they've been pretty solid. I think it'd be an overreaction to kind of dump these on this credit card headline. I understand they absolutely make bank off of it, but I think this is going to be an opportunity for some of the banks. And when you're looking specifically at the ETF, like the XLF, which I'll throw up last year, this was my pick, well, one of the 3 picks for last year, and this was the one that was disappointing. To be honest with you, like I remember in the middle of the year being like, oh my goodness, it's just not going anywhere. But you know what? It's been very steady since it broke out. Like we broke out back here in the middle of or early to mid-December, and it's been putting in some higher lows. That's getting threatened a little bit. Like if this loses 54, that would be a pretty big deal. But I still think you buy the dip going back into the prior highs, like last year's almost all year high, buy that dip and then go back into the trend. It's just going to require a little bit of patience. Not rocket ships. They've been very, very steady. I expect to see strong quarters. We feel like we always get the same thing. We're just like, oh my goodness, look how much money they make. And then they disappoint in terms of price action. And then you look back at about 12 o'clock on the day of the major bank earnings and you're like, oh, well, I guess when they made all that boatloads of money and we're down 2%, that was a good buy after all. Like I feel like we say that all the time. So once the conference calls are done and it's like 10:30, sometimes there's some really good buying opportunities on those. We'll see. Starting on Tuesday and then all the week we get the bank earnings, but I think this is still a dip to buy the dip theme for this year.
Yeah, so I agree for this year, but I, should have got. We talked about it on Thursday when I was here, and then was not here on Friday. That I think getting out of the banks ahead of earnings is the right thing to do. I don't see Jamie Dimon coming and talking, all. Red roses and all that kind of stuff. I think that there is a lot of risk right now associated. This is what happened, last earnings call. They had fallen back down in pretty good there. I don't think we didn't get to 290, but we fall back into this area where there was some support and where it got bought up at 300. I think we could retest $300 again here for JP Morgan. So if you can withstand 5 or 6, 7% to the downside, then I think for all the banks, then you're probably in the proper spot. So I would wait for it to dip down. I just don't see, and it's had dramatic moves, right? Most of these come-ups here are on earnings. So, this was February, bang, to the downside. This is their early, last year at this time. So now you're starting to see potentially, I don't think there's any chinks in the armor or anything like that. The whole credit card business will get all figured out, and I'm not too worried about it. But I do look at, it was 330, almost 340. Now you're down to 320. So you're already down 6 or 7% there, and I do feel like there is a potential flush out coming tomorrow, actually, for JP Morgan on earnings. So we'll have to hear what Jamie Dimon says. He's just very practical, and I think he's going to be pretty conservative in looking forward. And I'm a little worried, to be honest with you, about the highs in the banks right now. So I would not be buying anything today, tomorrow, or even this week. Let it settle down and see what those reports are. There's going to be banks that win and banks that lose. And if there's going to be one that wins, I would say most likely Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, the ones that are talking about mergers and acquisitions and that can take advantage
and IPOs.
Of the investment bank scenario. So that's where I'm thinking. So, you can see here Goldman's holding up similarly to JP Morgan, a little stronger in the Goldman Sachs side of things. So yeah, I really like bank stocks for the year, but they're not too exciting for me heading into this earnings report. So we'll wait to see what's going on there. And SoFi is a bank that obviously I like as well. That's going to be a name that probably gets talked about tonight at some point. So
I'd imagine so.
Yeah, so we'll see. Gold and silver, I see you have gold up.
I'm sure we'll talk. That's the thing. I know we're going to go back to the desk in a quick little second, but I saw someone I think it was actually even Kalshi that tweeted out, "Hey, silver at an all-time high." I'm like, really? You needed to tweet that? Every time these things gap up, you're at an all-time. You're at a price that you never reached before. But just looking at what's happening right now, we just tagged a new fresh top on GLD, maybe slowing a little bit here, but it was just a secondary push. So we're already gapped up. We'd already broken once. Now you're breaking out again in both gold and silver, more or less the same chart, 7% here for SLV, and they just literally minutes ago took some fresh highs. So the strength in metals continues. I don't think the fill the gap, buy the dip thing is going to come into play. When we come in the morning and it's like, yeah, we're sitting here like 75 half to 76 is the range. The whole like dip and rip, some of these prices seem more realistic, like into the whole 75 area. Now all of a sudden that seems a little bit less likely, and we have to kind of alter the plan to look at things like VWAP, pre-market lows for sure. But it's about 9 o'clock. We'll have a look at the futures, see what they're doing, get into the the watch list, the free watch list that is, which is pretty busy for a Monday morning.
Very, very busy.
I have not seen any additional news on this yet, but banks with a bit of a downtick there once again. But yeah, let's have a look at the market and then we'll get right into things.
694, guys. That's where we closed out on the SPY on Friday. We're down 0.5% here. We hit all-time highs on Friday, so a good look, but gapping down on some negative news here with the Fed chair. So we're trying to hold 690 here on the 4-hour chart. So we're going to say, look, our first area of support is going to be the 690, high 689s. If we really get going, we had a lot of trouble taking out 692.5. In fact, we used that 692.5 as a period of resistance for a few days. We'll say that is our first area of resistance, Brendo.
Big week to come. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you jump down to the description of this video. Top link there will get you to the sign up page for the watch list. Very, very simple. All you need is an email address, and then you get everything you need to know sent right to your inbox every single morning. And then you come join us at 8 o'clock. Again, we'll bring you these Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week, but let's talk about banks here. Downside this morning, not on earnings, but banks downside this morning on this credit card headline. I think it's important to say or preface this by saying there's no timeline here. There's no real detail behind this. It's just Trump himself coming out saying that they want to look at capping interest rates on credit cards at 10% for 1 year in an effort to make things a little bit more affordable, which is, let's be honest, very much needed and a great thought and a great idea, but this is not good for some of these banks.
Absolutely not, because this is where they make their money, and it's one of the most higher risk unsecured types of lending there is out there. So let's talk about it. U.S. financial stocks sold off after, as Brendo mentioned, President Trump called for a 10% cap on credit card interest rates that would start January 20th. It raised immediate concerns around the profitability, the credit availability, and the regulatory overreach that something like that would have. You had names react immediately. American Express dropped 4.5%. Visa and MasterCard each dropped 2% each, but you saw some real blood there with Capital One dropping over 10%. But it wasn't all bad. These buy now, pay later names, they showed relative resistance. We're talking about the Affirms, the Squares, the Upstarts. They outperformed, the firm actually rising about 5% overnight. Strategists think here, look, a rate cap could benefit these BNPL providers if banks tighten credit access, as people will look for other forms of credit. But several analysts from a legal perspective, Breno, they're saying, look, these national interest kind of rate caps have been tried before under previous administrations. A lot of people are saying he's going to need to go to Congress for this.
We'll see what happens. Citigroup looks like the worst off here this morning, 116.50, trying to hold right now, but huge gap downside. I mean, BAC is pretty ugly at this point as well, but again, earnings coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday for this group as well.
Yeah, as you said, no timeline for this specifically, but I kind of feel like when we ignore or the market ignores what the president is saying, sometimes it feels right early and then it just ends up being like, why did we ignore that when you look back later in the session? So I'm looking specifically at like a firm, and when you look at the banks, it's like, okay, well, we got earnings coming this week, and they were already a lot of them were already pulling back. So I don't wonder if it's like, okay, well, stay away from them until at least after earnings. But a firm was consolidating on a breakout anyways before this headline. And then you factor in that I think obviously, this is the kind of thing that can bode well for them for sure. Like I don't see it as being, it's hard to encapsulate it as a negative for the alternatives, and it's just a consolidation breakout anyway. So with a prior high at 83. So like from that standpoint, like if there was like any catalyst that was causing this move, consolidation, and then break higher, I'd probably be telling you, the whole pullback in a prior high deal and see if we can hold on. Like that's going to be 83 pretty clearly. Thursday and Friday, same high, and then you go to Wednesday's close. So I'm going to have this one on radar. We're pretty much, we're almost there at the open. So I want to go for a bounce play specifically on a firm. And ultimately it just came down to this was already strong. This was already making a bit of a technical break through this level anyways. So look for it to hold and just kind of continue on the path that it already had, as opposed to trying to guess, something new here, like a Citi. Because I see like this massive gap down on Citi 2 days before their earnings. And realistically, it's like, okay, well, do I want to overreact to this, saying this is a trend break, it's going to absolutely fall? I don't know that that's the way I want to go. So I'd just rather play over in a firm. That's the stock in Fintech that I'll be on for sure. And we'll see how it goes. I think certainly the banks are going to be in play. And if we start to see, if I start to see this falling all over itself, joining a trend is certainly always a possibility, but a firm for me.
All right, just saw Uber downside here, just made a new low on the session. There's a lawsuit they're going to be fighting here this week in Arizona. This thing got absolutely cracked on Friday, just straight downside. Actually ended the session a little bit off the lows, but pretty ugly day on Friday. Here we are down to 84.54. Uber that had a pretty quick start to the year on the upside. As we've been mentioning, both gold and silver with all-time highs this morning. Back to the upside in a pretty big way. Silver hit 8% at one point here. Today, it's up 20% so far in 2026.
Unreal. I can't believe. Wow.
It's crazy.
You leave for a week and this is what happens?
Yeah.
By the way, guys, the Uber story is on my morning note. So if you want a bit more of a deep dive into what's going on with Uber, make sure to subscribe if you don't already have a premium membership. All right, let's talk about this. Gold surged to fresh all-time highs above $4,600 an ounce, extending that powerful risk-off rally that we've been talking about. Brendo mentioning the strength of silver already year to date. Gold's already up 6% year to date after 65% gain in 2025. Momentum's really been driven by a rare alignment of policy uncertainty, geopolitical risk, macro tailwinds, and of course, as we've been talking about, the institutional buying specifically by world central banks as they accumulate gold and silver rather than hoarding the US dollar as they typically have, Brendo. And as we talked about, Iran coming into focus, Venezuela into focus, people are now talking about instability in Cuba, whether or not that's accurate or not. These geopolitical tensions typically have a way of buoying gold.
And dollar weakness as well, helping this to the upside today also. That being said, big ugly reversal candle underway here right now for, if you just bring up SLV, huge gap higher. But downside, we're giving a little bit back right now, guys.
But if you look at the other gap up days recently in silver, like gap up, like there's been healthy pullbacks in go, gap up, that ended green. There's this one gap day, I think is like, that's gonna be the cautionary tale, because most of the gaps have been pretty good, but this gap day here, you'll see like at the open, like you gapped up, but you hadn't broken the pre-market high. And then you actually immediately were failing lower. So this is different from that. But what needs to happen is you need to hold that pre-market range on these gaps up. Like sometimes you can have a fake break of the low and then go, but that's what I'm looking for now, because ultimately, if you close underneath the pre-market low on these gap up days, it's just, I'm gonna say like a 15-minute candle, it's not been good. And then you're starting to look for that failed breakout going the other direction. VWAP just got lost, so that makes it a little bit weaker in here today, but you haven't done the fail of the pre-market low yet. So I think that's going to be the key for me. It's 75 on SLV is what I'll be watching here at the open. And if we can't hold that, then I jump away from this. And the other thing about silver is most of the good days to the long side, like you've been able to just sort of grab VWAP, play off of that, grab VWAP multiple times on Friday. When it's trending to the upside, it's not the kind of thing that you need to you need to have been in at 9:30. That's just not how it's been with silver. Like that need to make sure you catch the low in the first 5 or 10 minutes, simply not true in this rally. If anything, like trying to force that is exactly what can get you into trouble. So I'll be a little bit patient because it's distinctly different from obviously what we were seeing 15 minutes ago. That little trend up has been broken, but we still have the pre-market low to be able to hold on to.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like, you know, they're thinking typical silver, but it's not your typical silver. I mean, this thing was up 150%, and as Brendan said, surprisingly up that 20 plus points already this year. So I just think that this is going to be a play that needs to not be ignored. Not that it's been ignored, but it's now breaking out, and this could be again another great call for 2026 as we have, you know, use case for silver. It's an industrial metal there. We'll have to figure out if it holds this 74 level, but yeah, I think any dips into there is worth a try 100 times over as silver just continues, you know, to be a mover. As far as Agnico and some of these different mining companies that you can take advantage of, this is, you know, pretty much been best of breed for a while. So I would say AEM continues to outshine the rest. I mean, there's going to be, we had Raheem on, which was it Wednesday, Brendan, or Thursday? Wednesday of last week, if you want to go back and check that out. Talks about the mining, the energy cycles as well happening both here in Canada, and gave us some good ideas about South America with Venezuela and whatnot kicking through. But look at AEM. I mean, again, like a name that was a monster for the year, and then just now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight up days, and add another 3.2% to this name here today as well. So a couple mining plays to look out for, AEM, and then FCX, which starts going with copper as well, as that has made another move today, and CopX, and there goes Freeport. So there's so many plays that can get you outside of what we just talked about, the banks, and then outside of what's about to come here. While retail is actually another good spot, and then after that we start to talk about some of the tech names. But if you're trying to diversify here, I think metals and mining probably a little bit of a spot that you want to start to add to your portfolio if you haven't already. And no, I don't think it's too late. I think with all this cycles about monetary policy and, you know, the devaluation of the dollar and what that means to the overall stock market, if you're worried about that and where your dollar's going, I mean, gold's up another 2% here today, and that just broke out to all-time highs today again as well. So it's just a story of people a little worried about what you know, the Fed independence. We talked about that being questioned. Obviously, we saw what happened overnight there with the president. He's probably not going to, I think he'll pull back a little bit on some of this, but it's not just about the fact that he's mad about, you know, all the money that they spent building this and that. I think it's just questioning sort of the role there and what it means for the tariffs and what it means for the president to have control over that space. And we're going to see with a Fed, new Fed-elect chairman coming, and elected, of course, and positioned there by President Trump. So we're going to have to figure out who he puts in. I bet you it's going to be someone that's going to be somewhat dovish, and we'll see if there's going to be some rate cuts coming in the new year. But we just saw in January that there are no rate cuts here, so that should help spurn more. President Trump just truth posted something. Oh, new president of Meta, apparently. New president.
Praising.
President of Meta. Wait a minute. What does that mean? Okay, well, there's a nice move up there. If it was this Meta, I don't know. Yeah, META, yeah. Congratulations, Dina Powell McCormick, new president of Meta. All right, so shares spiking there. President Trump agrees on a new Meta appointment there,
she
guys.
serves with the administration.
What a surprise. Good move by Mark Zuckerberg there, getting in. If there's any administration, boys, that you want to get on the right side of, I would say it's this one, Sharif.
100% agree, Sean. Yeah. 100% agree.
Might have had a little bit to do with that, but never mind. Walmart here. Back to the upside this morning. We had a pretty good day on Friday. I remember there was so much weakness across the entire board, really, on Friday going into the weekend here, depending on where you were looking. I was just double checking. I mean, we're more than a month away from Walmart earnings and some of the retail companies starting to report. So long way to go. And it's interesting. I on the weekend went through this earnings season. Right. And it's very spread out. You know, we get the banks this week, and then it's 2 weeks until we get into some of the bigger tech names. Yep. So, you know, a little bit more spread out than I think we're typically used to seeing. Yeah. But Yeah, Walmart, Google going to integrate Gemini right into shopping online.
It's not the first time we've heard of this from Walmart. They're already tying it up with chat, Brendo. But hey, more LLMs, the better. As we know, not everybody is using chat, including myself. Chat's cut. Walmart and Google announced a partnership that will let shoppers use Google's Gemini AI assistant to discover and buy products directly from Walmart as well as Sam's Club. The feature will launch in the US first, and then we're going to get international expansion. We don't know the financial terms, nor do we know the timeline here. Walmart's responding, though, to changing consumer behavior where shoppers are increasingly starting their search in AI chatbots rather than going directly to the company website. This complements their earlier partnership, as I mentioned, with ChatGPT Instant Checkout. Walmart's deliberately working with multiple platforms, Brendo. They don't want to rely on one LLM, and they're also continuing to develop their own internal AI called, lovingly, Sparky, that you can go on to the Walmart website, have a conversation with Sparky, and then Sparky will let you know, what products you should be using there. Incoming CEO John Furner, Brendo, framed AI as the next major AI revolution. He emphasized, the speed and convenience that you're going to be able to get, and it does make sense. If I want to pair certain things together and I want the best price for all of them, it does take me some time to actually go site by site, figure this out.
100%.
Right? So it's nice to see these agentic modalities.
As a archaic human being, I think, a lot of this technology, it's a no-brainer at this point. It makes life so much easier. Google, however, downside here this morning, it's actually trying to roll over as we speak. So both sides of this, Walmart might not be terribly exciting, guys, but both sides of this going opposite directions.
Well, it's a feather in the cap of Google again. So, they just keep on collecting those, although at some point you just have too many feathers and it gets out of hand. But, Walmart, I think it might not be super exciting always as a day trade, but there's been plenty of days that we've looked back and said, well, Walmart ended up being really good. Want to have a look over there. So on the daily chart, these prior highs are like $115. Remember, they just went to the Nasdaq, so I'll use the E-signal chart because ours won't reflect the rollover. It's not doing much in here today, but I think any attempt when you're in an upward trend to close in the gap is generally, there we go, a good opportunity to buy the dip. Now, what's interesting about Walmart in particular is that's Wednesday, heavy dip, doesn't get all the way back. Thursday, heavy dip at the open, does get all the way back, and then another relatively heavy dip on Friday, and it gets all the way back. So this stock has, 3 sessions in a row, it has been selling at the open and doing a pretty significant bounce. So the notion that you could just pull back into some prior highs, let me go to the 15 here, that you could pull back into some prior highs is actually not insane because it's been doing some pretty heavy dips at that open. This is exactly the kind of stock where the second it starts trending back to the upside, you want to get involved. Trending back to the upside, you're able to get involved. So while not making my list outright, certainly this is exactly the kind of name when it's been on a gentle uptrend that you want to come back. After the opening range is set, if it's setting up a long trend, then sometimes you want to join it. I love this pick. I love these guys again this year. No questions asked. You're a little bit expensive, but that hasn't really mattered for a while. And you know what's even crazy? Here, forget about the daily chart. Pull up like a weekly or a monthly on Walmart. Like the weekly chart on Walmart has been spectacular. And then I'm going to show you the monthly chart because this was one of these stocks where if you look at the back half, like when everything was recovering huge off this 2022 bottom, right? And this didn't break out and it was sort of in this range. And it's like, oh man, Walmart's not doing anything. Everything's breaking out. But it was in an upward trend. Everything about it was solid. The theme was good. And it gave you all kinds of opportunity to be a buyer until it went absolutely ham. And then when it was pulling back into the 80s, it's like, oh no, look how bad this is for Walmart. It's like, whoa, you need to buy the dip into a crazy upward trend here. So I don't know that I would necessarily buy it at these prices, but the dips, I do like the dip buy still on Walmart. Yeah, it's getting expensive, but man, they win. And then they win big.
Yeah, Walmart at a 40 PE, I don't think is a buy right now. 40 PE, if you take the other side of that trade here and you look at Google right here on a PE, price to earnings ratio, is 32. So it's 20% cheaper than Walmart. So I just based on what its expected earnings are. And I think Google can even beat and exceed whatever earnings expectations they have. I'm not sure the same for Walmart heading into a tariff-infested year. And so I would say, just to go one or the other, I took Target because I thought it was beat up too much. That's been a 20 or 30% win on that one. And I would say that I'd prefer, out of these two names, that I would prefer Google. And just to talk about Target, our Target was, we actually got out of some Target there on Thursday when we were last in, and we talked about that. Not just because it was up, that's luckily, but we had that big move up, which got us right into this area that was our first, and pardon the talk here again, but our first target area for Target was right into here, 105. So that got hit already. So now we just kind of wait to see if we can continue its expansion here for TGT. So I do like that one. And there's a story today also about Lululemon, and that's starting, well, actually that's pulled back a little bit, but that was starting to get going into the 220 area, where that one gets interesting as well. But Lululemon, bad day there on Friday. We'll see if it can hold the bid there today. But yeah, for me, Walmart or Target, I would choose Walmart as an investment. But, you know, Target was a good play off the bottom, and Walmart was too. I think the bigger story for Walmart today is the Nasdaq 100. So that inclusion into the Nasdaq 100 is part of the reason why you have a .NQ behind it right now and not a .NY. So that's a real nice bump, man. And you sort of could smell that one brewing when it was announced that they had switched over to the NASDAQ. So NASDAQ 100 incoming for Walmart. So you'll get some index buyers that now are forced to own the name. So another move coming for Walmart on the positive catalyst side, the NASDAQ 100 inclusion. That's always a fade kind of moment for me, but I don't love Walmart at these prices, but I also wouldn't short it. So for me, it's a hold. If I was an analyst, I would be rating this name like a market perform, and still hold on your long positions for Walmart.
Planet Labs landing a multi-year deal with the Swedish Armed Forces, valued in the low 9 figures. Doesn't have an actual number on that, but in the low 9 figures. So Planet Lab popped there for I guess $22.50, $2 up to about $24.50. For PL, one to watch maybe coming up today. Apple has been relatively weak over the past couple of weeks here to the downside. It was one of the first to not only get back to break even, but green this morning. We're coming back in a little bit here, but decent numbers on iPhone.
Yeah, it's negative again, Brendo, trying to go back into positive territory. It was really more a comment about global smartphone sales where Apple has taken the lead. So global smartphone shipments rose a meager 2% year over year in 25, according to Counterpoint Research. The growth in that was driven primarily by emerging markets, where Apple maintained its leadership with 20% of the global market share, the largest among the top 5 smartphone brands. Demand for Apple was especially strong in emerging and mid-sized markets. Sales of the iPhone 17 lineup were a key contributor, according to analysts. Samsung is second with 19% market share, and then the Chinese brand Xiaomi is up in third with 13% market share. But Brendo, it's not all sunshine and rainbows for these cell phone makers. In fact, Counterpoint expects global smartphone market to soften in 2026. They're saying it likely will be as a result they can't get enough semiconductors, microchips, as the companies that produce them, Taiwan Semi specifically and Samsung, are going to focus more on AI than on handphone or smartphone handsets. So we'll have to see if that materializes, but some weakness expected for this year.
Just reading a whole bunch of, there's probably 5 or 6 different headlines coming through here from Paramount on the Warner Brothers deal once again, talking about some potential moves that they can still do to wrestle this away from Netflix. But I just checked, nothing's actually moving on any of these, but just be aware there are discussions, guys. Apple here to start the week.
There was like that one green day, I shouldn't say good green day, but one green day last week. And what has been a bit of a fall, it's not a falling knife, but it's been a slide since the 50 period. You know, you consolidated for a bit here, and, you know, we had a bad week for Apple. And it seems like maybe you're just in another consolidative phase after making that bit of a drop. We talk about consolidations when things are making up moves, and it seems like you're in one right now. And I think what's happening is you've had this like passing the baton or shifting, and one Mag 7 name gets a little bit of strength, and well, a couple of them, relatively speaking, Google to a large extent, and Amazon to a lesser extent. And then Apple gets a little bit of a rotation. Like, it's just getting sold, so money goes into some other places. If we don't get back above, like this week, if we don't get back above 260 and maybe break out the 260 half, then you're just playing for an inside week at best for Apple, which sets your support at 256 in here. I think that could be solid. It's done it before, but the last time it consolidated, the move was not up. So your only long play was really just sitting in there, catching scalp bids. And I feel like that's the kind of boring trade Apple could be in for a little bit. And then if it gets anywhere near the 200 period, I think that's where you buy for sure. I'm kind of looking more at 245 or so, we said last week. So I think you could see that this week for a potential area where you could base out a little bit better than what we're seeing already yet. I don't know if we're ready for the bounce just yet. I'd still play it for the inside range instead.
We have Apple 20% market share. We have Samsung 19 right there, and then Xiaomi 13. I assume Google Pixel is probably in the single digits there. So there's competition for Apple. I mean, I don't think that that's any news, right? I mean, there's been competition for them and at them forever, and they do have a good history of copycat sort of some of the technologies that are out there, but at the same time, they come up with things like the AirPods and the iPad and things like that no one's been able to really replicate to the same extent. Obviously, there's still AirPods and there's other iPads out there, but people keep on flocking back to the Apple product. So I said this an hour and a half ago when we went on air, and I just said that this is just simply has been such a nice winner for Apple, and it's really just, I think it's sell the winners to get into some new names for this year. So Apple just continues to be almost like an ETF, to be honest with you. I mean, it can go up 17, 18% a year, follow the Nasdaq, follow the S&P 500, but there's traders out there that have really taken this to the high side right now, seen some weakness coming through in the Mag 7, and then just want to dump this to get into some more exciting names, especially near the beginning of the year. I feel like after this earnings season and some of the winners, shine or don't, I feel like more money will flood back into Apple as people will be a little risk off after earnings. So there's risk on right now, and I think it's just people looking to get some profit, bank a little bit of their Apple trade, and that already had happened. So I do actually think that Apple can make its way back to the north side here today. So we have Palantir. Let's go back over the desk. We just got imbalances. They're not really affecting the market too much. We will cover some of those, but let's hear the Palantir story. Then we have 4 minutes to lift off.
Zoomed out a little bit here. This is January 2nd, first day of the year, going back to beginning of the year here for Palantir. Chopping around, going absolutely sideways. Nice upgrade today, though, from Citigroup here for PLTR.
They are, and this is what they said. We're upgrading Palantir to buy higher risk from neutral and raising the estimate of our target to $235. Tyler Radke wrote in a note. He says shares have minted spectacular returns over the last few years as a vicious growth acceleration and equally impressive margin expansion has broken the traditional rule of 40 and the valuation framework. So he likes this one continuing in 2026 for a good move.
Nothing significant on the economic calendar. I'm just going to zoom out here. That was Friday. There's Monday. So nothing significant. There is a couple of debt auctions coming up at 11:30. Bostic going to speak around lunchtime today. The big one tomorrow, though, we'll get CPI, guys, tomorrow at 8:30 as we head to the open here.
And there's like a 10-year bond auction at 1 o'clock as well. So that can move the markets. As Sean said, the imbalances are nothing burgers. Outside of, Alibaba's a buy of 400,000. Their gap to the upside, we went over that a bit. SLV and PSLV here, both small buy imbalances of 300K as well. Novo's going to be in there for 250. So the imbalances aren't going to be much of the story. I'll let you talk Palantir because in terms of, I'm looking at critical metals a little bit more than I am Palantir today after it was disappointing. I'd say the volatility on Friday in Palantir. I don't wonder if we're not due for more of an inside type of range for it. It was 174 that it double bottomed off. I think that's an interesting place to watch for PLTR.
All right, on my sticky note here today, I do have Palantir. I have Palantir listed as basically the #1 equity play, either a 180 long or dips into oops, that's still Apple on the screen. I have Palantir up on another one, or dips into 177. So we're kind of doing that right now. So we got to be careful. Like when we wrote the note, we're up at 180 basically, and now you're dipping down with only 2 minutes left. So let's see if we do get that bounce. I think 177 might be a little light right now. Like we could easily make a move down. Hey, Adara, how are you doing? Make a move down into 176.50 or so. That might be a little bit of a better low now that we're all the way back in. And right here, you can go find the sticky note. It's on. I'll put it in the chat here, actually, so you guys don't have to do too much work. Go find it, as I see a lot of people asking about it. But someone over here that responded, what's up, Greg with 5Gs? If you give me a shout out on the channel, you'd be so happy. All right, 9:28 a.m., my guy. You got it. So there it is right there. Oops, you get it. You get it. You got it. So right there. So shout out to Greg. You got that right there on Trader TV Live. So go give that guy a follow or not. I have no idea. Did not vet. But here comes Palantir with only 1 minute to go right now. I do have it written down at 177. So it's on my mind, but I'm not sitting there with a bid right now. No. Let the market open up. We just had a nice dramatic move down and then just cleared up the last 5 minutes with another move higher there. So I'm looking for Palantir. I'm looking for TQQs. Hopefully a bump up on these guys. We can get into $55 and look for a short up here somewhere for TQQs. Intel, I'm written down a short. Oops. Intel, we still have 35 seconds. Intel looking for a short as well, but everything's come down sort of here. All my plays were short-based plays for today, other than that Palantir play. And then we do have Fannie Mae. I'm watching that as I just feel like more housing talk, this week, and we'll have to wait to see there. And I think that there's a lot to do with the interest rates and Powell and all that. So we'll watch out for Fannie Mae and its brother, I guess, Freddie Mac.
Fannie and Freddie.
Yep, let's go.
As we got, whoa, it did not go. So usually the countdown is automatic.
Yes, we missed it.
Oh, and it's not working either. I just hit the button. So in 3, 2, and 1, the market is now open.
All right,
Trust me, it is.
Yep.
Looks like we just didn't have that little graphic that we usually do. Immediately, just want a quick note. We didn't talk too much about critical metals. That's gapped up again. Want to see it try to hold on to 16 and then the previous close at literally exactly $15. AMD, oh my goodness. Okay, forget about AMD because AMD is already down at $200. Again, this thing just absolutely flushes at the open. Doesn't want to give you any chance at that little pop and drop. And then SLV, silver, all-time high got made because that's what it usually does, but it's holding right now under the pre-market low. So that's the key price. If we can't hold that pre-market low on the first 3-minute candle, then I do not want the long at all in that particular name. Tempest did add, I saw some people asking about Tempest AI. They did add news this morning, and I believe it was double digits on Tempest. Didn't make my list. 20-cent spread even after we open up, but up actually 13%, so double digits for Tempest, having a very, very strong day. NVIDIA is already starting to bounce. Market's slightly to the upside here, but I'm not really, outside of NVIDIA, I don't see what's really driving it.
No, I'm a little hesitant. I mean, I am sitting here watching Palantir. We did make a move in, and it's giving me those feels again because we wrote down 177, and I don't want to miss this little bit of a garbage dump there off the open on Palantir. We've seen this many times before, but look at the market, man. The market is just shot upside here pretty aggressively. So I'm going to let this just calm down a little bit. It's doing what I want it to do, but we need to let it settle down because the market is really holding this bid on many names. And I think Palantir and Tesla are two that are starting to head, well, now Palantir is going back up, but Tesla down to 438 could be at an interesting spot as well, especially if this market does continue to break a little higher. But I don't really have a bottom look there for Tesla. I mean, if anything, you are coming into something, though, right here at 438 and change. Okay, so we are our little plan of action to wait a couple minutes here today seems to have bounced off of Palantir 176.50. So that could be a good little low. Let's see if we can get tested back into there. We are getting close, and I'm not, neither one of us in position yet, unless you've already been in one. But
No, not
okay, so here's Intel then. Starting to make a move higher. So I actually like this short. Just a little nervous about what the market's doing, but I don't mind an Intel short as it was really blowing up there on Friday, and just wondered if it did really want to get back to these highs again here on. We don't have a story on Intel today, so I was interested in potentially shorting INTC.
There's nothing too crazy about it in the 20.
Yeah, I might short it against that most recent high there just to see.
Yeah, Intel was an absolute rocket ship on Friday, just completely unabated. So silver did break trend. Still haven't had a second. We're going to get a second bar here in the 3-minute, which obviously is about to confirm that we've held on to the pre-market low, which is about 70, just underneath 76. So the opening bar is going to be under 76 or above 76. Going to look for the long back there. We might end up having to grab VWAP to be able to play this. But that's likely to be the first look at this point to try to grab that dip. We just had a double tap at AMD at that 203 level. So for now, you have confirmed 203 resistance. So this is sort of the patient thing. Instead of just trying to stand in front of a moving freight train, actually see it make some lower highs off that 203 level before jumping in. So silver, trying to buy that dip. I don't want to chase the move too much here just yet. And the other name we're looking at is, remember the banks with this credit card interest rate story. AFRM doesn't hold that 83 yet. It bounced off it 3 times for $1 right before the open, and then right off the open loses that 83. So it filled in the gap. I wasn't looking for the bounce play before the open. Generally speaking, I like these plays. If I'm buying the dip, I want to hold it after that 9:30 play, and it looks like it's still headed to the downside. So I'm going to have to be patient with this as well. So I'm sitting on the bid of silver if it wants to pick me up. Outside of that, this market is threatening to go green early.
Yeah, I talking to myself here already. It's not good. Like we just talked about Tesla, at the lows of the day at 38. It goes to 43. All right, we talked about Palantir down there at 177, which is actually on our list. That goes to 179. So yeah, not overly happy with the way well, it's not. I didn't trade it at all, but yeah, that's not happy. Anyways, with the performance there, I was waiting, so I'm still trying to get short Intel. So this could be the one that goes eventually into the blotter, but I don't know if even that's going to happen anymore. But wow, there goes Tesla, man. Oh, so stupid. 438. We'll have to wait to see if that comes in again, and we're not going to cry over spilled milk. We're going to look for something better. I did got to figure out Fannie Mae's not on the board yet, but I am long on that right there. There's nothing really going on here. Just want to see if it does continue to go back up to the upside. So we'll get that going in a minute. But Tesla, there it goes, man. Huge move to the upside, and watch out now.
Is 450 going to break?
It's Google right now, really starting to rip. There goes Google, man, back up to 330. What stock were you asking me about there?
Oh, no, it was Tesla.
Oh, Tesla. Okay, yeah. Not sure, Neil, about what Tesla wants to do, but it is just upside, and we should have done something about that. Bitcoin right now with IBIT, we can see that Bitcoin is creating a move higher there today as well into 5140. Intel's still doing its own thing. There goes Palantir. Here it comes, man. I mean, we should have been long earlier. Talked about that one. But oh well, there goes 180 right now coming in from Palantir. That's a market that we want to look at too, 180 on PLTR. Man, this market, like where the hell did this come from, man? I was pretty bearish this morning on some of that
look
talk.
At Broadcom right now.
Do we want to?
Broadcom's up $10 off the open. It just went from down 1.5% to up 1.5%. That is a hefty reversal. So this is getting insane in the chips. There was no catalyst for any of these chips this morning.
Oh, Nvidia's up huge.
Nvidia's now green. AMD is now green. You already said Intel is green. We haven't checked on the. Sorry, it is.
And well, Intel just made a move down, but now I'm short now. But
Micron is trying to break Friday's highs as well. So there, I just want to be able to see Friday's highs. As the data names are starting.
All right, we got short.
As well, I'm going to fighting a sneeze. So what? All right, go to Sean.
My Stream Deck is also not working here today, even though I loaded it up, so that's kind of strange. But yeah, we do have a new short position there on Here, let me hit it now. No, still not. So Stream Deck not working either, Fabian or Ramin. But here we go, man. Intel also making a move. That's a new position. What's up, Adara?
On UNH here, we do have a report, a couple of different reports here. First, Wall Street Journal reporting that the company used aggressive tactics to boost Medicare payments. That's again citing a Senate report. So Senate report finding here that UNH used aggressive tactics, this then being, I guess, widespread here through a report from the Wall Street Journal. Then Reuters actually reported UNH saying they disagree with the Senate committee's characterization of their practices. Does not seem to really help the stock. We're almost at pre-market lows here for United Health, UNH, as we go back to Sean and Neil. I do want to remind you guys, please like and subscribe. We also have no economic data throughout the day, that we do actually have some Fed speak throughout the morning. Back to you.
Yeah, we just got Micron price target upgrade.
Yeah, price target upgrade on Micron. I didn't hear what analyst it might have been, but potentially
Sharif Capital
news there on Micron. Sharif Capital with the upgrade. Oh, Sharif's
go. No, I have no idea.
Oh,
just making that up.
Yeah, so Micron might be on the move because of that, but I mean, ultimately, yeah, it is on the move. Micron breaking out through Friday's highs as we speak. So, strong move in the market. Now Micron catching a bit of an upgrade. I did just move up. I don't like chasing, but is what it is. So I'm playing off of VWAP right now on silver, as we did not get the dip nearly as far as we would have liked in SLV to maybe challenge that pre-market low. So I'm just going to get in off of VWAP for now and see if we can't get back to the all-time high, which on SLV, not silver, is 77.7. Next offer is out in front of that $0.50 for sure. Still have crazy price action in AMD up at $205, as that's gone at this point in AMD. So Micron, AMD strong, Nasdaq is strong. Melendez Films asking about SanDisk. Well, my guess is with the chip strong and with that upgrade on Micron, it's probably just, exactly. It's doing what all the rest are. 4.5%. This stock's going to get to $400 in a couple of minutes. So when I thought it was too frothy, apparently it was absolutely not. These memory names are going to have the biggest target on their back for earnings because they cannot disappoint. That's like literally not an option, disappointing this earnings season. It's going to be a massive earnings season. You have some crazy movers. Expectations are so high in Micron and SanDisk. Western Digital, that's the third. I don't know why I always struggle for Western Digital as the third in that trio, but SanDisk, $400. I think it's crazy, but hey, I've been wrong about that for a while. Just thank goodness I haven't actually shorted. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You can think the turn is coming, but you don't have to get involved till it looks like it is.
No, that's what I was saying. The shorts might be right, but have been wrong. And I think that's something that's interesting to take advantage of. If you are swing trading, just wait for that eventual capitulated move to the downside. You'll be too late, but hopefully there's more follow through with it. We're a little bit late on shorting Intel, but we do got a good price here, and I do reshort it. So we do get. Okay, Stream Deck's still not working, which is fine. We did get reloaded, though, on the short rate there as well. So let's wait to see if that works. And there goes my guy, man.
Yep,
I mean, the number, well, we have two trades on here that we could have been in so far. Palantir long, we should have been at 177. But it is the Intel short that's really making it rain right now. We do have a big boy position on board right now because we're able to reload it. And there it goes right back into the downside. So I'm just going to try to get some out. There it is. Yes, sir. Give me those 77s. Okay. This could be an absolutely monster trade for me right now. We're up 2 times our daily goal right now just on this trade. And, I'm trying to use a little more shares this year and trying to be very, very specific with the individual calls, which is why I'm a little bit upset that we did miss that Tesla and we did miss that Palantir, but we stay focused. We stay with our short sort of theme there, and we hit Intel to the downside. Let's see where this one goes. A couple good reloads up there, just using the day's high. And I think this is important too. Like my stop is 25s. So now that we're in the money 50 cents, it's worth starting to start to piece some out. So I'm actually already out of half as we come right back into VWAP. So let's see. This is a good spot to start to clear it out. I don't need to make all these home run and hero trades. Make the trades that are hitting the levels. If you properly share size in the first place, it will pay off for you in the long run. So that's what it's about. Get in the right positions, adjust your share size after that. So right now we're in it on Intel. I'm short, and it's going to be hopefully well, it already is a great trade, but hopefully we can continue even lower on Intel here. I mean, imagine if this market gives it up. I mean, some of the shorts should continue to work. So we'll take a 62 fill there, sorry, a 64 fill as our best one. And then here we come back in 50 period moving average 50s as we look to go lower, lower, lower here on Intel. So far, so good on that short.
Yeah, so far, so good on the longs. I mean, if you're in pretty much anything that's been a long, it's been good. Did miss out on silver at the absolute low in that pre-market, but what can you do? The other play is always going to be VWAP in that regard. But now I gotta respect the fact that we've got a couple points here on a trend, and whoops, missed through that. But we're about to break that trend line, the early trend. And if we lose it before we get into the high, I'll take my third out somewhere in this even range. I'm not going to let it break VWAP. We're risking about 12 cents in here. Actually, it's about 13 or 14 cents on this trade. So don't want it to get underneath that 77. We just happen to be long above 77 because it's a volume weighted average price. And coming into, all right, well, I'm going to show this. I don't want to get away from this chart. Starting to come back in here is going to be AMD. A little bit of a turn. So this is a name. I wanted to short a pop, but it's been all green and going absolutely ham. No particular catalyst for it. Once it looks like we're on the other end of the trade, then I will take a shot at shorting in advanced micro devices. But it's gone absolutely ham. Like it's a $5 move off of the open. So once we close with a nice little wick high, I might jump into this one to the south side. So yeah, the market looking strong. It hasn't gone green just yet. I think you have to watch out for that as a potential resistance spot. The fact that we couldn't actually get to green and fill in that entire gap on the Nasdaq, that could cause a little bit of a turn here. So AMD is the one I'm watching for the turn.
Yeah, I don't have Unity. So if you want us to go to Adara, maybe just do it at some point. Let's go over to Adara, I guess. But damn it, Palantir.
Blockchain analyst Ming-Chi Kuo just shared a post here about AI assemblers. Worth noting, AI server assemblers. He mentions NVIDIA in this post, though not in any kind of critical or positive way. It's not really about NVIDIA as much as these AI server assemblers. But again, maybe keep an eye here on some data center plays as we do get a post here from Ming-Chi Kuo, noted supply chain analyst on X. Back to you.
Good friend, Min-Chi.
Yeah, everybody's good friend. My friend, your friend, our friend, Min-Chi Kuo. Okay, so outs more at 80. Outs here on Intel. We're still looking short. We're at the highest spot we've been at all day. So there's a couple chicken dinner winners. Put up frozen quotes, there it is, back. I just wanted to remind you because I saw you were not looking.
It happened last week.
Okay, I just saw you were looking elsewhere, so I didn't want you to miss a fill if there was one coming for you. Okay, so there's Palantir, downside frozen again. So we are having a couple quote issues here, but we'll just, that's why Neil and I, we turn to each other, we let each other know when that happens, just calm down and make sure that everything is okay. There it is, frozen again. Okay, maybe we can report frozen quotes. We'll do that in a second. But that's Tesla right now. Sorry, just a little bit distracted with what's going on here. But we do have frozen quotes and Ramin in our ear, which is very nice. You can just keep whispering sweet nothings. It's all good. But Tesla making that move there. And JP Morgan, that's what it was. I wanted to have a quick little look over here right now. 325. JP Morgan, nice move back upside now. So there it goes. This might give us the opportunity to cash out of JP Morgan. I mean, some of these names have been getting beat up a little bit today on the interest rate discussion right here, right now. All right, so SoFi down 2%. They're not recovering very well. Meta, Meta, you got a new president that your president liked, apparently, up to 657, it's a female, I have to apologize. Maybe I can throw it to Adara.
Tina McCormick Powell.
Former Trump.
Yep, okay, so same namesake of current Fed Chair Powell, but not related, I would assume. I don't think Trump would.
Not as far as I know. I believe her background is Egyptian, probably. So the likelihood of her being related to Powell is
she's Egyptian?
Yes.
Oh, wow, okay, cool. We'll have to hit up Sharif for that. But I don't think he knew that because he did not talk about that early. But 647 right now to the downside. We'll have to watch out for that break right there on Meta.
Yeah, so, I might have. We'll see if I missed an opportunity there in AMD, but it just made that topping tail candle just happened a couple of minutes ago as we were sort of having back and forth with the quotes. It seems a little bit more stable now, but That's what it is. Execution didn't go down at any point, and that's the biggest thing, as long as execution is still going to be good. So I'm in at about 05. So there's your topping tail, your lower highs at about 205.5. I'm going to look for the volume-weighted average price retracement. SLV did lose VWAP, so I jumped out basically at the break-even spot. It's still holding higher lows for now, but if you're not holding VWAP in here, then I'll wait for a retest of the prior low. So that's going to be the plan of action there. Did want to go over a firm.
Have you recorded these frozen quotes?
Okay, yeah, I'm having, like my level 2's not really coming up. I'm frozen again. Yeah. But a firm gives it all up. No bounce off 83. It's all the way down at 78, so they completely fill the gap. Got to make the assumption, I'm just going to go over, other direction. All the banks back into the upside as I guess it was an overreaction on this credit card, whatever story we're calling it. We're calling it the credit card melee. I don't know. I don't have a name for it.
I don't think, like you were saying, I don't think it's really that bad. It was just a suggestion by Donald Trump to limit to what, 10%? That seems 10%. Pretty
that is a pretty
low.
Big deal if it were to happen, but there was no timeline with it. So I'm going to end up 1 for 2. I think if I had gotten a little bit earlier on that AMD trade, it did give you the $0.50 to scalp out, but I was in a little bit late. Should be in on that candle and taking some out there, but we grabbed it later. So I'm going to maybe let things stabilize a little bit here. As the market's kind of holding up and rolling over, so not going to really get back into silver until we either test some of those lows, or maybe it'll just bounce and show me VWAP and put in a higher low for sure. Commodity King, he said in 10 days, but okay, we'll see what that actually means in reality.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, and it would be a 1-year hiatus as well. Like, it wouldn't have been necessarily a permanent thing that the president was mentioning. Let's go and handle some business.
All right, savvy Canadian traders, if you are looking to boost your exposure, you can now tap into the Nasdaq 100, S&P 500 with Beta Pro 3x daily levered ETFs. There is also a feature of this particular instrument of FX hedging. This aims to amplify short-term market moves by minimizing the impact of what we just mentioned, those currency swings. Whether you're feeling bullish or bear, if these ETFs are built for you, please read the full risk disclosure in the prospectus over at betapro.ca before investing, or click on that QR code that you see on our screen right now. We want to thank Beta Pro for their continued partnership with Trader TV Live. Okay, so I just wanted to just say I got out of another small piece there at 60s, at 63, as it looks like Intel wants to absorb that 50-period moving average and just come right back in. So we are now out of about 65% of that trade. I am ready to go, man. I mean, we wrote down Palantir the note that we have on Palantir is honestly, what's up, Chef Joe? It's Chef's Kiss today on Palantir, because look at this. Look what we wrote down for PLTR. 180 long breakout, we can discuss that, or dips into 177. All right, so when the market fell earlier, there's the dip into 177. It was absolutely perfect. It goes 50 cents against you to give you $4. That's a good trade. There's the 180 break, also never goes against you and is now $1.50 in the money and at highs. But do I have it? No, I do not. We slap a fail on that trade, but we did grab Intel, but we do fail on that Palantir look. So there goes Palantir highs. Now, on that note, I'm still trying to buy 179s. If there's any way we can come back into VWAP, I'm there for you. So we'll wait to see if that does hit. We did also want to think about shorting the TQs. They're at a level that we had talked about before, 55.50. So we're right here right now. I can't keep saying that like I would have done this or I would have done that when it comes up to it and I don't do it. So here goes the futures. The reason why we stayed away from this short was it activated too early. It just, there's a strategy that I was actually thinking about. Take the market based on whatever way it goes, straight off the open. And today, that would have absolutely worked. It ripped up to the upside. But right now, we're at our key level, which we had talked about. So I think that this could be a little bit exhaustion up here. I'm still obviously mad about Palantir, but the futures could make me smile a little bit there. And then Tesla at 438, we talked about that. That is now $10 money bag, in your pocket right there as that continues to go to the upside. And then the only trade that I have on, which a little bit obviously happy that get lighter on this name, is Intel, as that goes right back into this area. Will we or won't we reload it? I have to find, there it is. I'm not sure. right now. The market is really starting to go high side right now. You don't want to be 2 for 2 and then reload it, get stopped out there, and the next thing you know, you've given back half of what you were looking at. So I'm going to hold on to this Intel trade, not really reload this. It has battled all the way back, so let's give it a little bit of time to rest. It's like that good steak that you finally cook. You know, give it a couple minutes to rest and figure out if that is what you're looking at. I think we'll go short on a 55.50 break lower. The trend needs to break. I still don't mind the short here, but Neil, maybe the bank earnings and everybody's getting excited for that to come this week.
The energy names.
Yeah, potentially. Is energy going? I haven't even looked at it.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean,
down. Oh, that's SMR.
Yeah. SMR is down. Halliburton down in a big way as well. A couple of points here, but no green candles in sight. It is actually SMR at the $20 level that's going to be on the radar. We talked about this level on Friday and then sort of hold that higher low. It does not do so. So let me go to a 15-minute here. The heck was that? Okay. Whoops. Let me just get rid of that error message. That was our Unity software, which apparently
it's fixed.
Well, I don't know. I just had an error. I just closed it. I think it's working, but
okay.
Pulling back into the prior high and sort of failing underneath. I just needed to see us right here. We could break trend and get above 20.25. Just had to go to my 15-minute to see where the level would be. And if we break that 20.25, I think it's a long. Otherwise, I got to be playing underneath for the short. That was my kind of like that key pivot zone. And it's not the pivot level like the indicator. It's more that support and resistance. And in the 15-minute, we're closing underneath it. So it's a short till it's not, but 2025 is going to be that breakout price here on SMR. On Friday, there was one long trade on SMR. It was downtrend from the pre-market, and then it broke out to the long. We sniped that one, and the one thing I was disappointed with was not playing the short in addition to that long. So I want to amend that. I do like the breakout of that trend, but I will take the short as well into it.
All right, so we do have a new position. I did take those futures. Frozen again. We're freezing a lot here, but I've already put the request in, so
also been slow.
hopefully we get a response on that. But okay, frozen again. Maybe we can just go short on the TQs. I'm going to use it against this 75 area. So that was the high. We'll take a small little short here. We'll try to get that reversion trade going. Again, you know, I was looking at this and thinking earlier there wasn't enough news to really go short early, and I'm not sure there is now either. I mean, we're not hearing anything. We don't have any economic numbers. We do have some Fed speak to come through, so we'll just try it here against a high of 76. So average price right now 61. Looking to see if the TQs can come back in just a little bit here. We'll get, okay, well, it just went to 57 and stopped. Let's take a piece out there at 57 if we can. And then just, it's not a very big win. We know that. We're going to stop out just above 70. So if we can get a little bit of a downside push, we'll do that. We did also enjoy a move down there in the Intel trade as well. We got an 85 fill as that came back in there as well. I'm going to cancel my Palantir dip buy, but I still do like it. What else is moving around? Neil and I just sitting here trading.
This is apparently on a lot of people's minds.
Okay, I was going to do this. I don't know if I'm not.
It's number 2.
I don't know if you showed this already, but if you come into the chat right now, hit your $sign. Tempest. So let's look at that one as well. There's Tesla getting hit right now, 448, almost up to 450. You got to hit the subscribe to get into the chat. Netflix today as well. Okay, we're starting to really bump right now. Nice move lower here. TQ's finally starting to go, so we're back into the 50s. We got that 55 fill, whatever I said. Now we'll wait to see if we get a low 50 fill. I'm at 51. We just got to 52, so hopefully that comes through there again. As the market looking to come back just a little bit, what's going to need the market to fall down is going to need to have some Apple weakness. That may or may not be happening right now at 258, 259. And then we have NVDA moving around as well as we have frozen quotes. So I don't know what to tell everybody.
It's basically just intermittent freezing.
Yeah, so be careful. I can't even call anything up.
Yeah, the most important, there we were back. The most important thing, and if you're at real trading, is to confirm whether execution is still up. Like if your orders are firing, that means your stops are good. They're not reliant on you visually being able to see your level 2. So ultimately, you can, the way I want to trade now is I want to favor not taking breakouts, if that's the case, because then you can't really see the tape as the stock is breaking if you happen to be in a freeze. But anything like technical, like I can look at my trend line and say, well, I'm going to short in front of the trend line and play it to the low of the day. I mean, that's not going to matter too much what you have this intermittent back and forth. So we got into SMR on this little trend, which you hopefully can see. And if we break the trend line, I do want to reverse. I just want some stability before we get that. The market's trying to go green in here. The number 2 name on that visualizer that Sean was just showing you, Tempest, Jinx, it just broke the low.
Oh.
Yeah, so Tempest, this is like a classic gap up, fail the high break, and then fail VWAP. Typically speaking, that is a trend. That's almost like a trend short to fill in the gap when it happens. And the gap would be to $71. So this could go all the way down into 71 the way this is going. So the only thing I'm in right now is SMR, looking for the low of the day here. We already got it halfway. Might actually consider a little bit higher, zooming out a little bit further for Thursday's close, because I can see this double topping. So I'm gonna try and get maybe 75s instead. And silver, I do still like the long in silver, just wanted to start holding VWAP. So now you've got an upward trend forming here in SLV. So 1, 2, if it can hold 3 times here at VWAP, I'll jump into the long again and see if we can't get all the way into the highs. 6.5% for SLV today, or sorry, 6.25% for SLV today. Gold also having a nice rebound day as well. The bank's doing pretty well there, but good luck if you happen to be in Tempest. That looks like it's lost a bid.
Okay, yeah, good cover there on a couple of those names, obviously. Just looking at these futures, so we could be right about Intel, we could be right about Palantir or any of these names, but when you're trading into the TQQs or the Nasdaq or anything that is a derivative, really, you have to be very, very careful that you're going to be right. So I'm only going to hold this back above because we've gotten smoked before trading and had big wins, so it goes both ways. But watch out for these futures at the highs. It does not look like it's coming back in. So I put a couple more bids here into the 50s. Hopefully we can cover those, 54, then 51, and that will get me out of hopefully 25% of this, and then we'll stop out at the high if we break 76. So I just wanted to cover that real quick. And then this is really awesome, yeah, because we only got out of a little bit of what we told you. We got out of 25% of our Alibaba once it went back through this. So yeah, Alibaba continues to climb higher. We bought some at 160, then sold a quarter of that position at 160. So now we are very, very happy because our position goes back into the money right here for Alibaba. As we can see, our stream deck is now fixed, so that's nice. And here it rips upside on Quen news. Again, people downloading different large language models. It seems like Alibaba is going to have a grip on that in China, so that's going to be a good move. And I mean, my kids are now only using Chat, GPT, or they're actually both using Gemini right now. And my daughter is 11, and just uses some of these large language models to search around now. So I really feel like this is going to be the play of the future, which is why, whoopsies, goggles, a name like Google, Microsoft, all of them involved. Amazon has Rufus and a couple different names going for them as well right now. Okay, maybe Google down 0.6 with the NASDAQ up 0.1 or basically flat or only down 0.13. That's interesting. My guy Palantir, it's funny because I'm being influenced by not going long, but I said we should go long 180 there on Palantir. That just bounced off of it. I would much rather though wait for this 179.50 area, so be careful there. I'm in 2 shorts and I'm not necessarily loving them, but we did get that 54 fill there, so we take an amazing 7 cents on this TQQ trade, but we're looking for a lot lower, man. If we can get 50s and then into these 20s, then we will throw in the towel a little bit here on the TQs, and that would be a successful throw-in. So we'll put a bid here again in the 40s. We do have low 50s. The net is rocking right now, but it doesn't mean it will be like that for a minute. Let's put another bid on Intel and throw it over. I believe it's 10 a.m. now, so we are going to go over to Adara. I know Palantir is giving me a chance, but we're going to still hold on to this short, see if we can't make a little bit of money on this fruitful trade, and go over to Adara and then back over to us. It's happening now.
Yes, it is.
At 10 a.m.
But what is happening?
Here's the S&P 500. What's happening for the S&P 500 is a really nice breakout here from this weakness we had pre-market. We know, of course, we gapped down amid some concerns for the market after we heard that the Department of Justice is investigating Fed Chair Jerome Powell. He actually confirmed this investigation in an unprecedented video that was released by the Federal Reserve X account last night. Kind of in that same finance space, though, in a vastly different region here, we have U.S. President Donald Trump announcing that some of these banking and finance stocks or I guess companies, sorry, could be in trouble here. Failure to cap rates at 10% by January 20th is apparently going to be treated as a violation of the law, according to Trump. That being said, names like JPM and Goldman Sachs already rebounding. I also want to mention the other play for this is going to be plays like Affirm, PYPL, so PayPal or Upstart. These fintech and BNPL names are actually kind of benefiting here, as we do see some analysts saying that if this does come to pass, there's very likely here that people will go to these more fintech and other ways of lending money. Let's take also a look here at XOM with another President Trump-related headline. Trump saying yesterday that he's actually inclined to keep ExxonMobil out of Venezuela because he didn't like their response and thought they were, quote, playing too cute at the meetings that they had with a whole bunch of oil executives at the White House on Friday. Last but not least, Walmart on watch here, WMT. Couple different catalysts for this one, all of them positive. Walmart going to be joining the Nasdaq 100 index as of January 20th, 2026, replacing AstraZeneca. We also have here some positive news here. Google shopping integration confirmed by Google CEO himself, Satya Nadella. So nice look there. And before we send you back to Sean and Neil, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at Origenics, because there are millions of concussions, but zero approved therapies. Origenics, trading on the NYSE as OGEN, is advancing a new standard with its intranasal brain-first approach to concussion treatment. With an $8.9 billion market on the horizon, Origenics is positioned to drive what comes next. So see what's ahead and book a meeting today. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to stay with us at 3 p.m. to hear our stock picks for the new year. And certainly stay tuned here with Sean and Neil. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara, as always. And, I could have hit my stream deck because that's now working. But I'm going to look to try to re-enter SMR. We got VWAP. It did put in a higher low. That was somewhat of a concern that we could. Yeah, it is. Yeah, see, our stream deck is working now. Yep. So we did fill in the gap, but a higher low just got put in on SMR. So if we break this trend, that just hit the bid again. So if we get back in on trend, going to look for the re-short, but I still like the break.
Let's go.
I don't mind the trend break. That'll also play for me. AMD, we're waiting for our shot to take a second try. I did just put in a red candle for the first time. Got into Friday's high, so that also has filled in the entirety of the gap. So now you're going to get that higher low or lower high I think we should see in here. And silver still hasn't really broken away just yet. We're attempting to hold VWAP and break the downtrend line. So confirmation on this candle right in here. Going to jump in for a second time on silver, as that's been where a lot of the strength has been, this year and last year. But for now, we're still underneath pre-market highs. Cannot forget the fact that we failed the pre-market high right at the open, which can be a sign of relative weakness. But markets are strong. Looks like we're going to hold this trend line for now. We have a second super chat. We'll try to get to the super chats in a quick little segment. I think that's
throw them up. Yeah, this is just Salvador here. I just want to bring it up. You're in with me, my guy. So here we go, man. We're in on the TQs. I'm still bidding 41s. There we go. We get that fill. So congratulations, Salvador, as he's with me right now. We're 2 for 2 today. We only have 2 trades, guys. Right now it's the TQs, and it is so the futures, which is, I know we get in trouble calling it the futures, but it's a derivative of that. So triple levered into the NASDAQ right there, that short. And then honestly, man, this Intel is giving me, a little bit of worrisome feels. So we're getting more and more out of this Intel trade. We only have 20% left. And I actually, hey, look, man, I'll take an 03 right now. So I am bidding lower than that, but if it does come back in, we keep on bidding. I'll take an 03 and a 93 if they come in, great. But we are ready to go on a stop out for Intel breaking through 45.25, that high of the day. We shorted. I told you we were not reloading, and I feel like the Spidey senses worked out well for that. Oh, did we? We did not. Oh, we did get that 41. Okay, so we do get that trade downside there on the NASDAQ as the market coming back in just a little bit right now. We'll check out the banks. Those are doing okay. Nice move higher. I'm going to get out of some JP Morgan today ahead of earnings. That's all, I think. SoFi down 3%. This name continues to get rocked a little here, which is kind of strange. They report well after the major banks, so we're not worried about their reporting season, but we are obviously nervous about what they've been doing here today. CoreWeave has had a nice move as of late, not so much today. CoreWeave upside, I'm short, but CoreWeave today up 8.5%. Trying to break out of this level 90. Watch out for CoreWeave making that huge move today. Derek, can you remind me of the story here?
I thought it was just an upgrade.
Give me a second.
Yeah, if it's just an upgrade, then it's like a Palantir. Okay, go ahead then.
Okay, so I just pulled this up because, as I said, there was, I think I kind of remembered this was a thing, and this is probably pretty small, but we do have, once again here, CoreWeave CEO Michael Intrater denying this circular financing allegations here with NVIDIA, calling them, quote unquote, ridiculous. He was on a podcast aptly named Big Technology, saying that apparently NVIDIA's minority stake in the cloud provider is de minimis, quote unquote, compared to CoreWeave's massive capital scale. So yeah, I mean, again, once again here, and he's done this before in CNBC, etc. CoreWeave CEO Michael Intrater saying, hey guys, people are stressing this NVIDIA circular financing thing far too much. Back to you.
Right, so that's impressive. It's always nice to hear a CEO.
It's a decent shorted name as well, so I suppose.
Yeah, that would be another thing there. We did get, just real quickly, we are getting some of those low fills. So we got our 94 fill there on Intel or whatever I said that was, as well as some of these 45 flats. So we are covering as this comes down, and we continue to watch what's been a big trade obviously here today. We're at double our daily goal, which doesn't mean anything other than to me, but that's what we're doing. I just want to show you what we've done today. We followed our rules on the TQQs. There's 55.50 short. That's where we're short, so that's good. We should have had the Palantir long twice. We don't. And there's our Intel short. So we've got these all, and then we said watch Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which haven't done much. I should have said that I do have another trade on. I'm actually lost slightly on this. We bought Fannie early, it ripped up, we got 5 or 6 cents, then it fell down and we lost 5 or 6 cents. So it was just a back and forth, but red on Fannie Mae, but nothing going on there. I just have it up so that we can hopefully watch it. We're at the highest spot we've been at all day now, so let's just continue to watch out for these names. A pick of mine potentially tonight will be Marvell, $83. They're downside a little bit today. Okay, now they bounce back, so flattish on the day is Marvell. Look to see if they can break out off some of these bottoms as well, down near $80. So we're liking some Marvell, but it's already 10.10. So with this market, we're here all day, so it's fine. But I'm going to take out a little bit more. We just got another fill there on the Qs, hoping for another downside play. And thank you so much there, Tony. We do appreciate all.
A second, we missed one earlier.
Okay.
Keep it leafy. I just wanted to make sure we got to this one first. 'Cause I just got covered on silver, and we'll look at NXXT energy reversal possibility. So sometimes it helps if you guys mention the time frame that you're looking at. I'll make an assumption. Stock doing no volume, I'm going to assume you're looking at the higher time frame. So that's the assumption I'm going to make right away because it's not moving today. So bounces 3 times off $1 and you're just looking for it to reverse. Hey, $1 is a psychological level on these small cappers. Usually you want a catalyst to go with it because it's downward trending for a reason. And then know that when you bounce off $1, stocks are down here for a reason. Temper your expectations. $1.50 is the 50 period. It might be a bounce play, but if this loses $1, typically, it starts to look really, really ugly. I'll try to leave it at that. Like there's no catalyst to the stock. I can only make the assumption of what you're looking for, and it must be the higher time frame. Just very quickly, we got VWAP into, again, it's about 77.4 on SLV. So if we continue to lose the bid there or the battle there, then I'm just going to reload off VWAP. It's about a 50-60 penny range there on silver that I think we want to play with until we get some kind of a big breakout. I think that was a call for Adara at the desk. Let's go to Adara.
So.
Let's take a look here at MSFT. We do have reports here that Societe Generale is phasing out its proprietary AI tools and using Microsoft's Copilot instead. Not much to move on this, but interesting look. French organization here, Societe Generale or SocGen, phasing out its proprietary, there we go, 3 times the charm, AI tool in favor of Microsoft's Copilot. Back to you.
I'm starting to empty the clip out a little bit here. I'm not loving this. This just popped in here, this Palantir fill, because we were trying to defend 179. So I actually, if you do see it pop in, we were able to get something out there in the 40s. I'm not sure I love this anymore. We're underneath VWAP. I did think it's completely my bad. I thought I canceled these trades. It's fine. I'm fine being in them, but watch out for 179 breaking. And I just wanted to say, I'm net short everything else. So I don't know if I really do enjoy this, but we just bounced off 179. That was always my target. So here it goes. More outs there. We just got 45s, we just got 45s now. So another out there on Palantir. I'm fine with it, but we just cleared out of, believe it or not, 75% of this trade. And I actually have another offer right here at 55 if we can get it. So I'm scalping here. We're having a real good day. If this can continue to go up, we'll be at 3 times our daily goal. So we missed Friday. So we'll come back in here, put some numbers up today, go 3 for 3 so far, and really good amount of share sizes, and really sort of happy with the trading today that we had there. So far, so good. And thank you, Tony. There it goes. Yes, sir. Thank you, Tony. That's kind. Both Neil and I putting in work for you, hopefully every day, and trying to find some of these winners. And there it is, man. Palantir. So today, Intel, bang. I mean, can't say too much about that. That has been a really good trade there, as we're almost out of Intel, honestly. Unfortunately, I have less than 10% now as it comes back in, which is fine. And then Palantir really working. That was a good long that we just put on. And then I don't need to talk too much more about the futures because obviously that one's working as well. But I'm going to go over, address the Palantir position, but that's now starting to really kick up. So we'll offer out again. We'll take a 68. Oops, sorry, that's not Palantir, that's Intel. There it is right there. So we'll put 34 cents or so in our pocket, offer another 57 now, and then hopefully just be able to relax. It's only 10:12, man. We have a lot of time left. But this, a day like, oops, get rid of that. A day like today also reminds me, there it goes, of why we like this so much. Able to see some of our positions going in your favor. And then it's also nice that, the market's bouncing back a little bit there today. It did start pretty red, and nice little comeback here, and the bank's helping that situation. So.
Yeah, the market's looking strong, but I mean, there's been plenty of things that are weak, and until proven otherwise, if it's trending right now, I want to work with that. Like one of the things, and we were talking about this on Friday a little bit, rather try to be a little bit more sniperish and wait for the perfect entries when we can get them. And if we get one more here in SMR, I still like this trend break, but there's a better one looming.
Oh, we had a huge.
And the better one looming is Walmart. Like right now, look, Walmart, there was the news with, it was Google, which ultimately I think that's, pretty positive for Alphabet to get that kind of a partnership with them. And they're using, it's not great for ChatGPT because it just seems like lately everyone else seems to be winning but them. But you've had a very distinct downtrend filling in the gap in Walmart. I suspected you might have a chance to fill in more of the gap, but if this is all it does and it doesn't get to 115 bucks, then a break of trend here to get long at VWAP is going to be the play for myself on Walmart. So that's something we're waiting for. Silver, we're going to continue to look for those dip buys. It's bounced a couple of times off VWAP here, but no pre-market breakout. First thing you did is lose a pre-market high on a gapper. If it's not breaking out the pre-market high, then I think it's a scalp trade and don't try to fight it too hard. But VWAP has worked a couple of times. So it's either going to be Walmart on that trend break. Potentially we get into VWAP again on silver. As long as that one can continue the trend up, we want to take it as many times as we can. Certainly if you're looking on Friday, it gave you a few chances. Pre-market and then right off the open, a couple of dips off VWAP before it would go. That's what silver does when it wants to trend. I don't think if this market is going to continue to go higher, I just cannot see a world in which Walmart, I mean, maybe it happens. I can't see a world in which Walmart doesn't try this breakout. So I feel like this is going to be next. Never the kind of name that at the open is going to be the first thing on the mind. It's just not that kind of a stock. But I do like this dip buy on Walmart. I said that in the opening, and we'll see if we can get this breaking VWAP. But as soon as I say I'm looking for the Walmart VWAP break, what does it do? Starts backing off. Right, but I can be patient. We'll wait for that sniper entry. That's what's next for me. And by the way, AMD just took out the highs again. Wow, that stock.
We only have
no catalyst.
No catalyst. I agree with Neil, man. We only have sniper entries today. I think those are the best kinds, especially being patient if you can. So just showing our ability to trade, obviously, the news as well as key levels, right? I mean, that came into 179. That hits. Like I told you, I was super nervous when it came in. So the fact that we emptied out the clip, obviously, this dollar club, which it turned out to wind up being there as a breakthrough 180, and we actually wind up getting some 180.25s, I think it was our best fill, 180.17s. So, that turned out to be a pretty good trade there. And then obviously with our Intel, we were very, very specific. We actually have twice the high of the day there. So that was a good snipe. And then the Qs, the futures, very, very similar where we're not getting back in. We are a little nervous now as maybe the market does not want to do what we had thought. So, so far so good with all of these. What I wanted to go over to was the sectors, sort of. We are going to be, I think, having sector watch or small cap recap or something coming up at 10:20. But for right now, this is what we're looking at. And there's the banks. So the banks have battled back a little bit today, but President Trump does sort of fire the cannon at them, talking all about credit cards. So Capital One, a name that I'm in, and I've said I'm not in it that heavily, and I'd like to get a little longer. So there goes down 7%. Capital One is a good look there, but we don't like this talk. AXP down 5% there today. JP Morgan and some of these major, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, were just talking about taking over Apple's, switching from, I think it was Goldman Sachs over to JP Morgan for the Apple Pay credit. So that's affecting JP Morgan, well timed over there, obviously, by Goldman to maybe exit that piece of the pie there. Coinbase up today, so that's nicely moving around. As far as the tech names are concerned, we do have some different divergence plays on the Mag 7 today. You have Google to the downside, Meta a downside as well. And then you got some other bigger names like the chip names with NVDA, and then I'm not going to say Apple's a chip name because it's not, but Apple positive with Microsoft as well. So Broadcom, AMD, NVIDIA upside, when the other TPU maker, Google downside. So that's kind of something that we haven't seen. Google's sort of been leading the way in some of this movement upside in the Nasdaq lately. And then here, this is JP Morgan Adara, I think this week is doing their healthcare conference. So you could get...
They are, that's correct. It starts, I believe, today, definitely running tomorrow as well.
Ever since Adara's been on the show, I've had to get a lot smarter. So there we go. So I remembered that one. So there we go, the healthcare conference this week. So we'll see if some of these names want to move around on possible buyout rumors or takeouts. And I think most of these names in the S&P 500 are going to be the ones doing the buying. So we'll look to see if there's some downside pressure in names like Eli Lilly or J&J or Pfizer or something like that. Maybe not as much in J&J, but some of these biotech names. So those are healthcare names, but it's these biotech names that we're looking at that could move around. And I thought today we had, UNH. Yeah, we did have some movements downside. Oscar, UNH, Humana, and things like that that continue to move around today. So just a quick look in case your stocks aren't one of the 4 or 5.
UNH did have a headline.
Yeah.
There was a Senate report questioning.
Okay. Yeah, I thought there was
use of
something
Medicare
there.
Diagnosis.
Okay.
Diagnoses.
Yeah, whatever.
Diagnosis.
Go with either one.
Yeah, whichever one's just imagine I said the proper English way to
Dios.
say that. No, seriously, UNH under a lot of pressure in here today, but the market is starting to look to curl, so looking for their next entry potentially on trend here for SMR. The second it made a lower high, we waited for third time as the trend line, and then if we get another test of it right here at about 19, it's like 1980 or so here on SMR. If you were with us on Friday, remember these guys were up on Friday because of it was Meta's deal with both VST, so that was Vistra, and OKLO. Both of those names giving it almost all back like SMR did here today. If I'm going to trade one, I just like that $20 over under. So it got to a key level, failed it instead of broke it out. So now it's giving me a trade setup. Either it's going to break trend, we go long, or we're going to continue to short it on trend. And speaking of Vistra, I saw someone in the chat say, why don't you guys ever talk about Vistra? We'll talk about anything. Ultimately, a lot of times you'll end up, working over to what you're trading. This is distinctly different. You don't see me trying to short this one, as they've been only trending up. They got a big deal with Meta on Friday, so you're getting some continuation of that. This stock is actually looking quite good on the daily chart as well. If it can close above the 200-period moving average, maybe give you a 180 break. So Vistra looking incredibly strong. I just like the clear and clean trend that SMR has for a little bit of a trade here. So if we fail this, we'll go for the long. We are finally, all right, Walmart's doing it as well. We're finally looking like Walmart's going to break as well. So just waiting for that little close above the trend, and I want to go long Walmart. Their deal with Alphabet possibly causing some strength, but the market's pretty strong on their own. Adara, time to see what the small caps are doing. And we haven't really talked to many of them. There haven't been a lot of halts either. So let's see what Adara is saying with the small cap recap.
Yeah, there isn't too much of excitement here that I could find anyway, but I did look here what you guys are looking at in a chat, thanks to our chat screeners. Here's some of the ones that you guys are interested in today, including EVTV. This is Envirotech Vehicles. This one was actually on our watch list this morning, and it's set to merge with ASIO AI. That was announced last week. Well, I bring this up now because ASIO AI secures a binding order here for 256 NVIDIA B300 GPUs worth roughly $107 million. So again, this company here is set to merge with EVTV, announcing this order, sending EVTV to the upside. CRML near today's lows here, but smaller market cap name, and I think it is worth it to discuss the catalyst on this. This came out at 8:30 a.m., so announcing here that they've acquired an integrated rare earth element assay analysis lab facility, but this is also on watch here regardless of this new catalyst because of its ties with Greenland. They have that Tanberries project. We know that as well, the concept of whether or not Greenland will be acquired or dealt with here with the U.S., that's certainly going to be of interest here for CRML, and that's why the stock has been on watch as of late. I have no news catalyst here for LAC, but I do want to give you guys some background on this name because it is moving and you guys are interested in what it's doing here. So again, no news, $1.4 billion market cap, short float here of about 15% for Lithium Americas Corp. Before we send you back to Sean and Neil, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at PDSB. PDS Biotechnology, trading on the Nasdaq at PDSB, is transforming how the immune system targets and fights cancer, with initial focus on HPV-16 positive head and neck cancer. HPV-16 can cause head and neck cancer, and more people are facing these high-risk cancers than ever before. HPV-16 positive head and neck cancers are projected to become the most common type of head and neck cancer in the U.S. in a few years. You can learn more at https://www.ptsbiotech.com/. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Adair, for all of that great read over there. Yeah, Google, I don't know, I heard something about Google and Apple, but, Apple picks Gemini. Apple picks Google's Gemini. Hold on, we do have a news thing here that I'm supposed to show up here to find this right there, but there is a story between, here it is right here, send selected item. There it is. There you go, Brendo, got it. Apple picks Google Gemini to run AI-powered Siri. So we kind of knew about that, so that's another story. So we'll props it up right there. We'd sort of thought that this story was going to be part of the story this year for Google and Apple, and it looks like right now that's nice. So Apple picks Google's Gemini. Okay, so it looks like they don't have to put any picks and shovels into the ground here for AI. You see what I did there? I'm back. Because Apple apparently will let Google and Gemini do all the work. Obviously, the integration into Siri, I think, is a coding thing that someone over there at Apple, not me, would be able to figure out relatively easily. So we'll see if that does anything. It's not affecting Apple right now. And I just think that we say sometimes these stories are exactly that, stories, and we've heard this before. So, eventually you kind of know the end game here for Google and for Apple, but this is a good one. Maybe there's some finalization to that story. This, Adair, maybe you can help me confirm this, but that is from CNBC. Just wondering, go ahead.
Yeah, that's literally all I'm seeing. That is the entire headline that I'm seeing, so I can't give you anything more because that is all that's circulating here again.
Perfect.
CNBC just reporting that Apple's picking Gemini for its AI-powered Siri.
Okay, so good enough for me. I was just thinking if there was another sort of confirmation on that one, but no. So there goes it. There goes Gemini.
Winning.
Yeah, so Google keeps winning, Apple keeps winning, and I mean, there's more people now going to be hit up with the Gemini ecosystem, I guess, right? And so if advertising is ever going to be a thing for any of these LLMs, you now have an install base of billions here for Gemini. So there it goes, man. Alphabet shares now popping to the high of the day on this news. So there goes Google, man. And unfortunately, our futures trade got busted out there at 75, so we're done with that trade. A nicely positive story for us there. We did short 70s, out 75s again. So we did take a little quick hit there. We gave a little bit back on that play, and our Intel's coming out whenever it does. That's near the high of the day. We're not going to continue to short that one. This is great news, man. Apple not appreciating the news in the same fashion.
The mode around and Alphabet just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I know we had some weird pushback on the ETF talk, how we're kind of comparing Alphabet to an ETF because they have so many ways in which they're winning right now.
Yeah.
That it's almost like, well, why invest in this because you can just get Alphabet, and why invest in any other quantum name if you get literally everything that goes with it? And why do you even need like a Netflix if you got YouTube? Well, I wouldn't miss.
Oh my God.
I don't know if it should go that far, but it just feels like that's a bit of a theme here, that you get everything in one spot, and then they're the AI trade as well, and where you don't have to be in as much of the, I hate the term circle jerk, but the circular funding concerns aren't as direct to them either. So they get a lot of wins, Alphabet. So I missed SMR. I'm into Walmart on that trend break, but I missed SMR's reverse. Is what it is. That's a bit of a fail because I should be in here at 19.8. I want to pick this one up somewhere on this trend break, but we were able to get Walmart. It did just resist VWAP a little bit, and I can't let it pass the prior bar, which is 116.8. But it's SMR that I did not catch on said trend breakout. AMD continues to absolutely churn in here. And before we go to Adair, just one last one before we go to Adair quickly. Tesla, some crazy action here at 450. Looks like it might be rejecting the $450 level. Here. That's 3 times it's broken and failed the 450 on Tesla. Adara.
This Apple-Google deal might actually be confirmed. The CNBC report does have a quote from Apple with regards to this Google partnership saying, quote, after careful evaluation, we determined that Google's technology provides the most capable foundation for Apple Foundation models, and we're excited about the innovative new experiences it will unlock for our users. So again, it does look like Apple's confirmed, at least according to the CNBC report, this Google partnership. GeoOGL hitting a $4 trillion market cap for the first time in its history. Back to you.
So this was a real, I tried 334 there. It obviously did not work, and now you're falling right back into 331. So just watch out for carrying the news, right? I mean, we're not going to be punching in to many shares here. As we talked about different styles, sniper style versus like trading the news and things like that. So let's just hold on to see if it does wind up going anywhere, but we have to be very careful with these stocks. So another pullback that just happened is Palantir. So we got out of Intel as it ran the top. We got out of the few. These are all, Intel's an absolutely monstrous trade for me. But the market did run the tops on some of these names, so we wound up getting out both on Intel and on the TQQs, and this one's fine. This was 75 runs, so we're still there. And a lot of that happiness was portrayed with this Google and Apple news. So we just talked about that. Neil just went over it, and so did Adara. So we'll hold on and see if this 330 wants to hold here for Google. A pushback to VWAP is 328, 329. So we'll hold on and see if it can get into there, but we do want to be into a little bit of this trade just in case it does start to go for a little bit of a run, but it was just up almost 2%. Now we're right back in, so a nice pullback here for Google. Not nice if you're liking the stock because it's pulling back, but Apple, a quick look as well. Apple just gapped there. Okay, well, we should have.
Well, it might be the quote thing.
No. Yeah, probably the quote freeze, but it was down here doing nothing anyways on that story. Like, we've had this story for a couple minutes. So, yeah, good call on that by Neil. Maybe we missed a couple quotes there. Obviously, Apple does not gap up $1 like that, but there it goes up to 260, and there it goes. Yeah, they're extending Apple's move. Oh, man, we went long the wrong one. We're into Google right there. It looks like Apple was the one to get going there, obviously. But Google, I still like it down here to 330. Let's average in.
Yeah, and the market, like I said, the market is looking pretty strong here. And that Tesla,
missed the average in. My God.
All right, we're going to get to Tesla in a quick little second because I think silver might be doing the wrong thing, which would be as the market gets stronger, it could break the trend and start to head to the downside. But I'll give it one more shot. It just held the trend line above VWAP, so I'll go one more time in here on the dip. But if we lose trend line, I should be reversing this trade. This is something I didn't do last week. When silver would eventually reverse trends, is go the other direction as well. So I'm just on the bid, gonna give it to the trend line and see if we can't get into the highs. SLV looking still incredibly strong, relatively speaking, but just wanted to show GLD exactly the same chart. So these could easily break trend at the same time. And when that happens, there's a lot of people that will probably have trailing stops and that ilk. Tesla is still absolutely, this thing is a rocket.
Is it still going?
Yeah, so this is, for sure. This gap here, that's just the quote thing. Because the last quote issue was a little bit longer, like a few seconds in. It was actually almost like a full minute. But we have rejected 450 3 times. So we hadn't had a single close above 450. If this does a close on the 3-minute above $4.50, I think that would be a place to go into the long. But until then, respect it. We saw what happened on Friday. If you were here, you saw it try to break and completely fail to get through. If this can't do it today, this might be a nice VWAP retracement here on TSLA. So the new position for me is just silver. Oh, goodness. We'll see if we can break out that high. I want inventory into the high break as opposed to taking the break of the high. And so following the trend line is the only way to do that.
All right, so we are not following the trend line right here for Google. If anything, it's kind of broken what it's wanted to do. So we're just going to try to, I said we were going to maybe wait for VWAP, but I was thinking like this 329. Like if we where's my bid? I thought we were supposed to get long around here. Oh, 25s, 329, 25s. Oh man, that sucks that we just missed that. That's too bad. All right, let's put another bid in this. Wow, how low did that go? No, maybe it's gonna, there it is. Okay, we don't miss it now. So now we're long. We're long at 330s now, and not great as this continues, like I said, to fall back in right now for Google. Let's see if it can somehow catch a bid. I don't know. I thought them sort of tying this up with Apple would be a good sign, but maybe it was by the news, obviously there, maybe by the rumor, and then once the news hit mainstream, we do fade back out. We're out about 75 cents on this trade now, and you can see because we put on a bigger position down there, we're finally getting a better average price. But it goes back to that whole sniping situation where we should not have chased it all. We chased it there and got out, and then we put a little bit on, and now it's just coming back into VWAP. 328.50, definitely a marker to watch out for here for Google. Look, see, it keeps on trying to go, but then definitely kicking the brakes a little bit on these moves back higher. So be careful. We did average it in down there near 329, giving us this average price. A break above 330 will take a little bit out. I think that's the right thing to do. And then we'll see if we can get somewhere back near the highs. As here it comes, okay, we get a 96. Here comes a little bit of a breaker now for us back to the upside on Google. We don't have enough offers there, so let's put a few more. If we can get above 330, that should really help us a little bit there. But here it comes right back up to the upside. It's Google off of a nice dip buy, but there it goes. Stops again at 330. So Google news here, signing up with Siri right there. And here's another news story. Google right there surpasses the 4 trillion in market cap. When we were up there, I guess now maybe it's come back in.
I feel like that's been like a bad sign for stocks on the daily chart. Like it's almost like when you get past one of those like massive trillion, whether it's 1, 2, 3, in this case like 4, when you get to one of those levels, most stocks pull back after that. But we'll see. I mean, you have a lot of day left to go. But look, either way, kudos to them. Really, just break the high.
Yeah.
Just rejected the high again here.
We just got stopped out a little low there.
Wow, no, I'm talking about silver.
Silver.
I switched. I was looking at it. We're breaking the high there in SLV. Looked like it was about to really cruise, but we just rejected that high break temporarily. This is starting to get really tight to the trend line.
Break again.
So I got to be really careful with it. Walmart is still kind of, I don't know, man. Like Walmart, the problem with this is, and I know exactly what it is. It broke trend, and this is a rule break. Like it broke the trend line, but this is right at VWAP, so it's rejecting the volume weighted average price on this trend break. I had the long way too tight to the volume weighted average price, which is probably why I'm scalping out of it like I normally wouldn't, because this is resistance here. Like I'm long into overhead resistance, so Walmart's probably just going to end up being a small one because there's just not any room. If we close above VWAP, I think there's a better long to be had timing-wise, but we'll see. Like for now, it's been okay, but I'm going to dump this one if it gets past break even. Take what we can. So silver is still working pretty well to the upside, as we are now 372 subscribers away from 550,000.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
So you know what you got to do?
It's about that time.
You got to hit the subscribe button, and the reason to do it is threefold. I'll give you 3 reasons to do it.
Give them more than 3.
1, because we have the best community out there, and to engage in the community within the chat, you've got to be a subscriber to be in the chat. That's reason number 1. Reason number 2 is because the more we grow, the better everybody gets. We can spread the word, we can talk about what's moving, we can try to share ideas, and all try to get better. And number 3 is so that you can talk trash because you were the 550,000th subscriber. And that's a pretty good one as well. You want those bragging rights where you can just say it was me.
Yeah.
I'm the one that did it.
Yeah, like you can tell that to your kids when you grow up and everything like that. Like you can say, I remember when this show was so small and we only had 550,000 subscribers. So yes, sir, good one there, Neil. I like all of those reasons. But even, yeah, people are
Get in there.
Yeah, people are subscribing. Yeah, we're looking, Andre. Yeah, we're looking right there. I have many shares to deal with right here, but we will continue to look at that. All right, so, we do have some super chats there. Okay, and
Steve
if you want
Irwin.
to put them up, yeah, there it is. So is that the same one twice? It's twice on my screen. Yes, I believe it's
And
NVIDIA.
there's another one. Uh-oh. Well, when my chart decides it wants to load NVIDIA, okay, great. The charts have a case of the Mondays, everybody.
Yeah, big time.
Oh my goodness, please tell me. See, this is, that is so frustrating. Because if I was trading NVIDIA, this is exactly the kind of like trend break I would have been looking for. You're in an up move, you pull back, you're at VWAP, you go for a trend break, that would have been here. Instead, it stays on trend and flushes, unfortunately. But look, for NVIDIA, the bigger picture would be, as I know what I'm looking at here, from last week, it was 192 to 193. We broke down on Thursday, and then we held the bottom end of the range. So now instead of it like 192 to 193, you've got this 86 to 87, which is this lower high that NVIDIA is contending with. It's just slowly trending down right now on NVIDIA. It's like structure, consolidation with wick tops, which indicates sellers in control, and then we step down, wick tops, sellers in control. Another one here today, sellers in control. And this is in the midst of the Nasdaq ups. Like the Nasdaq is almost green today, and NVIDIA's pulling back. So it's just a little relatively weak here for NVIDIA recently. So you play within that structure, which means you want to short the tops. You know what, I'm going to slap a fail on myself because this actually set up for a better short than AMD now that I look at it, but it doesn't matter now. But it does set up as a better short because you've got the lower highs, clear stepping down pattern for sure. I have to really wonder if we're going to hold. Silver's been good so far, but it is about to break that trend and maybe retest the volume weighted average price. It could not break out the high. So we've been long it since VWAP, and I'm just getting out. I'm not going to short it until it closes under the trend line. But that's been a pretty distinct trend on silver, which you gap up that far, you don't want to lose this trend line. You could be all the way back at VWAP and then 76. So it's been a good one early, but kind of losing a little bit of its luster later on in the session as we go.
Oh yeah, we're lucky enough. Yeah, we're lucky enough to get a little bit longer there. And Google Bogle for this here, Sound. Okay, we can check out that Soundhound again. Good little level here for Soundhound. We had talked about this with Brian Shannon. He has liked it. Actually, he liked it a little bit higher than this. I guess it's fallen back over the last little while. You said on a 5-minute candle there. Yes, yes. There, nice move back in a little bit of a V shape. I don't think it's enough of a V to worry too much about it, but right into there, it has come back, bouncing. I always like to look at the 200 period moving average, so we are above there. If you think there's a rebound coming in this sort of AI name, by the way, I can't, Neil, address this too much right now. We just had a huge monster move back up on Google, so if you want to quickly look at Soundhound or not, doesn't matter, but we do have a nice bigger move back now in Google, so we do finally find a bottom down there at 228, but we did take a bath on it, so we have to sort of wash it off now and see if we can get
I can look at it pretty, like it's...
Yeah, see if we can get it back to the upside, but...
This is actually pretty easy technically because I think, is it today? Yeah, today, this actually death crossed today. So this rejection at $13 is actually much uglier on the higher time frame than even just giving that back. Like there's your full gap fill. Here's your 50 period. I'll zoom in so you can see it better. There's your 50 period crossing the 200 period moving average. There's a rejection of a lower high. If this cannot hold on above this like 1220 or so, which it doesn't look like it wants to, that's a huge rejection on multiple time frames. 13 rejection, both major moving averages, throw in a death cross. It's incredibly bearish for sure. You know what I'm going to say about the death cross, though, if you watch this enough? I absolutely love when you flash a death cross and then break out technically, because that means people are going to short this day heavily, and if somehow tomorrow or in the next couple of days it can break 13 again, that's a great type of long setup. But you can't worry about that now. Right now, it's incredibly bearish. If I had seen this, we haven't. I think maybe even looking at like VWAP for a bit of a trend trade could work, but it's a little bit late. It's kind of late for that. because it broke down. There's your VWAP trade here. You probably would already be in this one. So I'm not going to touch it. I wouldn't touch it, but certainly on the daily chart, that looks incredibly bearish until we can get back above 13 bucks. That's kind of like a wait for it to be above 13 instead of trying to catch a long underneath. Sometimes I like longs at higher prices based on what the chart's telling you.
We did have a nice move back up in Google, and then all of a sudden stopped a little bit there. So we did get out. It stops at the 200 period. I still think we can get a little higher, but I had to sort of throw that question out there and take that fill as all of a sudden the net just kind of like gave it back a little, came back into us a little bit there as the Nasdaq remade highs right there. Palantir's interesting, man. Keeps on bouncing off this 179. So we still are here, but it was a break literally of 70 is where we were going to get out. Sorry, 78.50. So we've bounced around a little bit, potentially thinking about another long here in Palantir as the market trying to turn green. Let's add a little bit. Oh, we just bless you. Let's add a little bit to our Palantir trade there, and then put the stop where we need it to be, 178.50-ish or so there for an out on Palantir. We'll see if it can mature back in to these 180 levels. What's up, Adara?
Before we get into the sector board, I quickly want to mention here UMAC and RCAT, Department of Homeland Security, announcing they're launching a new office to advance drone and counter-drone technologies. Some of these drone plays, including UMAC and RCAT, on watch with that catalyst. Let's talk here, though, about this sector board. We have to talk first and foremost about finance, probably the most obviously weak sector. You just take a look at this here, AXP, Citigroup, Visa, JP Morgan, MasterCard, sharply to the downside. These traditional banks and credit card names trading lower as U.S. President Donald Trump basically says, hey, if you don't have this 10% cap here for these credit cards by January 20th, there could actually be legal action. So again, unclear if and how this is going to be implemented, but there is a date for it, and these stocks right now a little bit spooked. Energy minerals to the downside, transportation to the downside here with Delta down about 3% ahead of their earnings tomorrow morning. Industrial services weak. Health technology generally pretty weak here ahead of, as Sean mentioned, this JP Morgan Health Conference. Though Johnson & Johnson and Eli Lilly both strong. Producer manufacturing doing really well here. GEV up 3.5%. Let's talk about tech because both of these tech sectors are all over the place. We have electronic technology with NVIDIA to the downside, Broadcom, AMD to the upside, and Qualcomm down about 3%. Then we have tech services pretty muted across the board. Even OGL, Google here with an announcement with Apple here. Basically, reportedly, Apple announced that Google is going to be working here with their Gemini for Apple's Siri AI-powered integration. Again, Google, nice pop on that initially, but still roughly flat on the day. Other names in this sector, including Adobe and AppLovin, more noticeably to the downside. Do make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content as we send you back over to Sean and Neil.
That's my bad for not getting to the mute button on that one. Usually, I'm a little faster and I'll be able to mute, but it is what it is. I think I'm going to give myself an excuse. I'm just a little sore from curling for the first time ever on Saturday. Let's just say curling is the kind of sport that you don't think that you're going to be like exerting yourself much, but like some of the movements and you're using muscles you probably have never used that way before. And it's like, oh my goodness. I had tennis elbow going into it. And
You're old.
Well, that obviously flared it up a little bit. The rocks are a little bit, they're a little bit heavy, obviously speaking. And then like my right quad is like hating life right now.
44 pounds a stone, my friend.
They said 45, but it doesn't really matter. The suckers are heavy. The most important thing that I learned is just make sure you watch out for like stray stones.
Yes, yeah. Well, you don't want. They'll take you out very, very quickly. So many people.
Because you're playing on a lane of ice, and then there's like people next to you, and certainly there was a couple of times. One specifically, I was sweeping, and there was like a stone from the other side. Like I wouldn't have even seen it. But they're like, keep your head on a swivel, and then I see it. Like it was going wild. Someone had thrown a missed stone, and it was like this far from like.
Oh yeah. No. It's a fun sport, but it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous.
But it was I had a ton of fun.
Good, man. Good. Yeah, I used to coach my kids curling, so nice to see you getting involved there. It's fun. Such a fun social game. That is for sure. Okay. We reloaded. I'm reloaded. But we're about to get unloaded here. So we take some more out as it dumps right back up. And I don't know, man, we thought that this news was been good for Google. It looks like it's going the other way here. Out if it breaks, it's going to break right now, 327.50s. We're out if it breaks that. That's the low of this move here. Google was assigned, or I guess Apple picked them to work on Siri with them. So I thought I was getting out. Okay, there it is. Yeah, break. All right, that was just a little slow action there on Google, but a break of 327.50, I thought, got us out, which is what it was. But there's a break down lower. We don't get the greatest price on that fill, but nice out there for Google. Well, not nice out, but a nice move down for Google, coming right back into 327 again. So that story seems to have been turning around. I don't know if it's turning around for Apple or not. Not really. They got that bump up. We had a misquotes issue there, but there goes Apple now coming back in. So I still want to try to catch Google. I just don't know where the bounce is going to be. We're at the 200 period here on a 1 minute. We could try that again. You know, it's been okay. That one was quick in and out there, and then this at VWAP worked, and then it didn't, and then we just tried the long again, which was okay until it wasn't. So it looks like it does want to break through 327. So we'll figure this out. But yeah, move down on Google as they Pikachu choose you. Walmart and Google today.
Walmart's now going.
Okay, now Walmart's going. So there was a couple of Google stories today, which was Walmart with Google, some of their online shopping and whatnot.
Oh,
okay, thank you, Randy. I didn't realize it's already 10:46. Wow, we're almost at what's for lunch there, Randy. Yeah, we'll figure out what's for lunch soon. Yeah, a little late for a coffee, but we'll take it right now. But yeah,
Walmart.
Google 327 in Walmart. You were long.
I had actually just said it was breaking a rule to take a trend break that was this tight to the volume weighted average price. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just get out at break even, and now it goes. So it's completely reversed. That said, the first available dip, it'll be above VWAP. I'll try to jump back into this one if we can grab it. 117-ish is going to be the price. If you're looking at Walmart, whoops. Oh, that's right. Shoot. Walmart, of course, going into the Nasdaq 100, and that's why they are now a Nasdaq stock. And
that's why.
As thus, I have to look at eSignal to be able to show you the daily chart, the complete daily chart. So here is the other thing Walmart is doing on the daily. It is breaking now out of highs. So 117.5 is also breaking out the tops. That's the other reason it made no sense to be in the long, because you're basically at this price, it's rejecting right underneath the highs. So now you're confirming the breakout above 117.5. So I want to be buying some dips, see if we can get back to pre-market levels. And I get it, like in the pre-market is trading 119, but when they talk about all-time highs, the open market's what ends up mattering here. So first available dip, we'll get back into Walmart if we can. I took one shot reversing an SLV, and I'm kind of ready to take another.
Oh no, are we going to break again on Google?
So it broke trend line, closed underneath, but kind of wicked me out there on the prior bar. Now there's a bit more confirmation with the short, so I'm going to take another shot here. Really only been long, but I did say if it breaks the trend, I want to look for the short trade back in. Maybe just take, if I can get in the mid-40s here and kind of give it to this 65. So risk about 20 cents, see if we can't get into VWAP, which is about 50 cents away. So I like the risk to reward here on SLV, trying for the Alphabet short, the silver short, at least for now. And then Walmart, again, all-time highs for Walmart on an intraday basis is the word I was looking for. That's what I was looking for last time. On an intraday basis, of course, we're higher in the pre-market. This is looking incredibly strong relative to other names. And who knows, maybe at 3 o'clock, maybe Walmart ends up somebody's pick, because remember, at 3, we are making our 2026 picks. Everybody on the team is going to be, I'm pretty sure everybody on the team is going to be involved. Myself and Sean and Sharif and Joe and Adara right here is going to be making her picks. Brendan, Obi's going to be coming on through.
Obi's here.
I believe Ramin said she wanted to be involved, and Fabian as well. I have no idea if that's going to be true or not, but I think we'll have a little bit of fun with it. We'll find a way to get some of your picks in there, see what you guys are interested in watching, specifically for this year. Right? Like the whole notion is, if you had to hold it for the year, what would you buy? So we're going to give you our ideas.
Yeah, it should be. It should be a real fun one. So make sure you guys do obviously join us back at that time. We do have Adara though right now. What's up, Adara?
Yeah, we're going to talk here about money talks. Let's take a look here at this $. Right now here, daily chart. This is a red candle actually taking out all of the strength that we had back on Friday and actually potentially retesting this prior resistance level around that 98.7s that we had back in mid to late December. Now, of course, the biggest things here to keep an eye on with regards to the economy right now, we can be sure we have CPI tomorrow that's going to be of note, but I think more importantly for now is the fact that we do have Fed Chair Powell now confirming as of yesterday that he is the subject of a Department of Justice probe. It does relate to his testimony for the Senate Banking Committee back in July of 2025 with regards to the, I believe, $2.5 billion renovation here of the Fed building. From what I'm seeing, that's about $700 million over a budget, which is why there have been some concerns. Either way here, Fed Chair Powell did address the claims. We also had comments this morning in, I believe, CNBC with Janet Yellen, who is the former Fed chair and also a former Treasury Secretary. She came out and said that, in her opinion, there's no way that the market won't react to this, and the market probably should react to this with regards to its potential threat for Fed independence. Now, with that in mind, the January 28th Fed meeting here for 2026, only 5% of participants now expecting a cut. The overwhelming majority, or 95%, expecting rates to be held in place. If you go ahead to the March meeting, we have about 73% almost of participants expecting rates to be held there. So it looks like we're not going to get a rate cut in January or March, at least according to the CME Fed Watch tool. For now, things are always subject to change. I do want to let you guys know here as well about Eli Lilly. Just seeing a headline here that apparently the company is on track for its obesity pill approval by Q2 2026. Unclear if this is brand new, if this has been announced earlier. Stock isn't really moving. They also have some NVDA AI tie-up as well that was announced earlier today. So a couple different headlines on watch today for Eli Lilly, LLY. So we send you back over to Sean and Neil.
You can't stop Eli Lilly. You can only hope to contain them.
I was going to go long. So I heard that story and I was like, okay, where is a spot that we could go long? I thought if it was going to be anything that was like an instant hitter there, we could have gone 170, 1075. So, but that apparently now doesn't want to hit. So we'll wait for that to come through with only 8 minutes left now. I mean, that story's broken, and I think Adair said the key thing, not sure if that's a recent development there or if Eli Lilly shareholders in the stock was already pricing some of that in. So we'll be patient with that kind of a play right now. So yeah, that's what Eli Lilly's doing. And today we haven't looked too much. We talked about SMR and some of the alternative energy plays, but XOM today down 0.7, CVX. CVX right there on the New York as hopefully that loads up as well. I think it was down about 0.5% as well. Oh no, CVX is actually up today. So did make a move down to 161, climbing back up. And then, Michael and a few other names on the ETF side today, including XLE. So that, again, pretty flat-ish on the day, especially after that dip down. We had recovered backside a little bit. And again, this one we'll have to use a different charting system for because it got repriced with a split. So 47 break looks pretty tempting there for XLE. I'm just in Google and in Palantir. Intel, although we did get stopped out near the top side of that trade, it remains basically right here. So good thing we haven't looked at this too much as it's been going back and forth. It was more just waiting to see if Google was going to do anything. So we do have now about 50 cents in the money on this, looking to see if it goes. It's a nasty chart because we chased it all the way in, but let's see if it wants to have a little bit of a recovery. See, it just got hit again. So I was thinking 320, like we've just been getting out, like we got out a bunch there, we got out a bunch there. Eventually we break. So now we're gonna have to wait to see if we hold out for this 326.80 spot. If we break that, then we can get out. I actually put 90s, it's 326.80 it looks like. Breaking that low rate, what is that low? 85, so yeah, breaking about $1 lower than here, and we can stop out of our Google. But for now, 40 cents in, and see if it can climb just a little bit back upside right there. As the market trying to get green, is the ES green yet? No, so they're basically the same, man. Dead even right now. The Nasdaq has done the legwork though, because it was down much more earlier.
Yeah, the Nasdaq playing a lot of catch up today. Speaking of energy names, SMR has finally broken out above, attempting to break out above VWAP. I shouldn't say broken out, but we've broken the downtrend. We're above the volume weighted average price. So we flipped in this as well. Started long silver and short SMR, but now we're the other direction in both as they are breaking the trend in the other way. And yes, Walmart is still going. That is frustrating, of course. That's sometimes it'd be like that is the best way to put it. Yeah, that's an annoying one. Because I probably, twofold. Like if I don't break the rule, I probably don't scalp out, and then I'm more attuned to jumping in here when it breaks because I'm not involved in just getting it long when it's underneath VWAP there, which I almost never do. So sometimes being early can cost you in multiple ways. Like in that particular case, it's like it makes you anchored to the price that you were in before so that you don't buy it a little bit higher, which is completely silly. The market doesn't care what you did before. It's going to do what it's going to do. So you got to move on to the next. SMR, I'm looking for a push somewhere back into the 35 to 40 area, like Friday's lows and then our opening range bottom. So think of it like if I was short at the top, I'd want VWAP. If I'm long VWAP, I'm going into the prior resistance here on SMR. My guess is it's still strength in, Vistra is still up like 5%. Remember on Friday, it was Vistra and OKLO that actually had the meta news. They were the two stronger ones out there. Didn't really hold on to the gains, but certainly, oh no. Oh yeah, that's right. I guess maybe we're having some quote issues on Vistra, but it's still holding the highs. That's really all that matters. And then OKLO, if you're looking at some of the other nuclear names, this is similar to what SMR is doing, only it's weaker today. OKLO was underneath the volume weighted average price. It just came down to the fact for me looking at SMR because technically it's kind of doing some things that make sense. And that was also the case on Friday. Like when SMR did a trend break on Friday, it was very, very clean. So I wanted to be involved. If it went downtrend to breaking out, I wanted to be into that long, just like on Friday. We have another super chat here from Sean Ed. Nice win on Rocket Lab on a reversal candle. One of my favorite names to day trade. Rocket Labs has been so Rocket Labs and ASTS, like those are ones day traders absolutely love. But the reversion, it did the same move as
Alibaba.
Right into the same high, 88 from Friday. Sometimes you just get that overhead resistance, and if it rejected there once, look for that turn again. So great look over on Rocket Labs. Congratulations. You just said Alibaba, so I want to look at it as 10%. Alibaba
is there.
Gone. There it is. It finally broke that downtrend, and bye-bye. Sometimes, you wait for a stock. Instead of trying to buy the dip, you can always just allow it to break a trend. And then when it does, you get involved. So Alibaba crushing it with, look, the AI race isn't just an American thing. Let's be real. They're putting up some numbers as well there. Obviously, you're going to have the China risk when it comes to Alibaba, but it's such a great value name as well that when it does get going, it is a very good long when it gets going. You just kind of want to ring the register in those moves. So, I feel like if it gets back to 200, that'll be a good spot.
Okay, well, we're $1 now in on Palantir, so that's nice as that continues to go upside for us on Palantir. So a couple reloads right there on that one, and we give props up to the Palantir traders today because good dip buys. We recommended it down here at these prices, so nice to see that one starting to mature up. What's for lunch today? Sometimes Joe asks. But today, it's actually unique. We haven't had too many American-style lunches, and we have
fried chicken.
It's themed. So the only American time we've had is fried chicken. Is it fried chicken today? Well, if you've had some chicken dinner winners, then you're probably thinking, hey, fried chicken would top it off today. Oh. It is chicken. However, a brand new item has entered the chat. I will, Sharif. It is California fresh chicken with apple salsa. Okay. California. So guys, let me know what California fresh chicken means. With apple salsa. I'm down with the apple salsa. I mean, I think that's going to be great. Chicken with apple seems a little strange to me, but I'm sure it's fine. The sides include grilled zucchini and peppers. There's baked sweet potato, and of course, everyone's favorite chopped green salad. So it seems like it's like when I'm thinking about California, I'm thinking like avocado toast and things like that. That would be awesome.
That's
if that
what
was.
This says it is.
Oh, okay. So California fresh chicken.
I'm not giving us avocado.
But this says with apple salsa. So instead of with avocado, you find a picture of this thing or what?
Apple.
Yeah. Come on, man. You have one job here. Just type California chicken apple. Oh, you're typing in the salsa. Yeah, I need those pictures.
No, it looks like it's an actual thing.
Yeah, there we go. Can we throw that up there somehow? Okay.
Wait a minute.
That's okay. Just scroll down somewhere there. There's the finished product.
There's the finished product.
All right.
Okay, so this is legitimate.
I think California. was it California fresh chicken? I think, yeah, grilled would make sense. I mean, that's probably.
Okay, so this could be nice.
Okay.
I
let's
think
go.
I think I'm okay with this one. I mean, I prefer the fried chicken. When they do the fried chicken, it comes with biscuits, which
people say our caterers are just making shit up at this point. I mean, look,
as long as it tastes good, you can make up whatever you want to make.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Right?
Make up whatever you want. We've had some fails in this space. So,
yeah, let's.
We're really happy to be here with you guys every day and explain what is for lunch. Trader TV Live does get a catered lunch, and the reason why is so all of us are always pretty much at our desks and so on and so forth. So it's nice to take breaks, that's for sure, but they want to keep us here as much as possible. So they feed us California fresh chicken. So. Yeah, so far so good there. All right, it's 11:01. It's great to have Sharif back.
Yes.
There's another host with Sharif. I have no idea who he is, but he looks a little different today, but he's looking sharp as per usual. That is for sure. So we will find out what's going on there. Yeah, I'm sure his trades will be squeaky clean. Thank you, Neil. We will talk to you guys very, very soon. We love Joe. He's clean, here. Baby. It's Sharif. Glad to have Sharif back, man. It was a great morning show. We've got Adara. The whole crew is here for you. It is now the Midday Mag.